I'm going live about this topic that has been on people's minds. So I'm giving people the opportunity to call in live to confront me. I'm going to open up the phone lines so that people don't even have to feel intimidated about showing their face, right? It's the tonight's video is entitled Tonya Tko is a male identified Mammy. Call in live to confront me. And so that's what we're doing today. So let me go get the link
What did that do to you?
because I want us to be able to move forward. I want to finish up this Danae Jackson thing. When I was watching the video, we came across a part where we were talking about her taking the children to relocate to another state, and people were telling me that because I was, oh, we don't have the thing up. Sorry about that. Let me get the captions down at the bottom of the screen. Hey, welcome in everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. All right, start captioning. Let's get this thing up, get the tracker off, put that over here, get this in front. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to get the phone lines open. Let me just first grab this link so that we can, let's get to the studio. Hey everybody, I'm about to send out the notification to the text notification squad and then we're going to go live. I have flattened down my hair again. This is how I love my hair. I appreciate you all for all of your wonderful supportive comments about, my TWA that I had when I was on vacation, but now I'm back and it is brushed down again because I don't know, I just like my face to be shown. I just like my face shown. I feel that I have really beautiful features and I don't want anything, not even hair, to get in the way of just do you see these cheeks? Do you see this bone structure here? I don't want anything, not even hair, to cover these bone structures. All right, so here. So we are getting this up, add. Let me get a space. And so send now. I did put a debrasser. I shampooed my hair with a debrasser to get some of the yellow out. So it should be a little less yellow than my last few videos because when I was on vacation, I did not have my debrasser. All right, so the notification has gone out to the text notification squad. Let me go ahead and get this into the, let's get this sent out on Telegram. And so that is sent out now. Let's go ahead and get live on all of these platforms. I'm hoping that people will come through and be able to confront me. I'm giving people the opportunity to do so now. So let's go ahead and get this party started. We are live on Twitch. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. And of course, we are live on YouTube. All right, so let's go ahead and get the phone lines open and let's go ahead and get this party started. So the phone lines are open. Here we go. There's the number on the screen, 323-488-3149. I'm going to give you all the opportunity to go ahead and speak your mind about the Mammy, the male. I got a little bit of back pain tonight. So the male identified Mammy that you all think that I am. This is the opportunity that you have been waiting for. This is the opportunity. So the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. Well, what's going on? It's just dry now. It's dry. You all can, I really want to give you all the opportunity. Oh goodness. I get called a Mammy all the time, China. Oh, where's the comments? You can't see the comments on the screen. Hold on. I must have taken those off when, all right. Okay, so here we are. I am your host, Tonya Tko. I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTko.com. I hope you learn how to love yourselves and one another. On this channel, we use viral topics as teachable moments for what self-love or self-abuse looks like in your life. And often we come across conversations where we have to hold ourselves accountable, where women must be held accountable, and where we have to have a more middle of the road, neutral view about who is the victim and who is the assailant in certain situations. And I did a video. We did two parts of the Danae Jackson video. We only got through Tim is saying this is what 60 looks like. Motherfucker, if I look like this at 60, goddamn boy, you better get on your knees for me. Huh? Because if everything looked plump and right and tight like this at 60, boy, I'm gonna give you a run for your money. So listen. So yeah, so in during the video, there was a part where Danae talked about how one day, like she had been telling, according to her, she'd been telling Derek to come back to the house, but he was spending a lot of time at the condo. And so she called her mother. Her mother flew in, and they took the two children and drove 24 hours across country to live in Denver. This was something that she had threatened him about before she'd gotten pregnant, that if she were not married, that she would just take the children and go live in Denver. Derek wanted to be an active father, according to her. Remember, all of this is alleged. And so when she couldn't get what she wanted in the relationship, so no one is going to call in. Oh my gosh. I went and did this whole show because I thought that people would call in and confront me. And no one is calling in now. The phone lines are open. So she took the children, and her mother drove 24 hours across country. By the time she got there, she says that she called him to let him know, but he was already in Denver. So, Anan is getting their snacks. Listen, so I made the point that children need their father, that she had no legal right to relocate with the children, and people were upset with me for saying that. It got to the point where even after my sabbatical, I started using profanity in this video because it was so frustrating, because women were saying that she had every right. And I'm asking women, show me the law for which state that says that a parent has the right to relocate without the consent of the other parent, male or female. And I think that we misunderstand why I'm here on YouTube and why I do what it is that I do, right? I I was really hoping that people would call in, so I'm just going to continue to talk until somebody does call in. So people were coming up with all different types of arguments. They were saying if Derek wanted to be a father, that he would have been at home with the children instead of being in the condo. And I'm saying this is Danae's account of events. We don't know where he was, when he was there, how he was there. We don't know how he got to be there or where. All we know is that there's a woman who is claiming that he wasn't in the house, that he was that he was spending weeks at a time at the condo. And then so she decided to take the children and live in a different state, right? And there's, where are all of the women? Where are all of the women who have all of these things to say about me? Where are all of the women who have the things to say about me? Because I feel that we should not be advocating for the abortion of fetuses based on race and gender. Because there's a campaign where we are talking about aborting Black male babies. There are people who are calling me a mammy because of that. Where all of these people, I'm giving you the opportunity to call in and confront me. I don't want to see your comments after the fact. I want you to, so if you know somebody who's been talking junk, a friend of yours, a cousin of yours, your Facebook page, or in your WhatsApp group, in your Facebook group, please share the link of this video now so that they can get their opportunity to say what it is that they need to say to me right now. And so China is saying, I know a woman who left with 2 children and it was legal because she was unmarried to the father. Tell me the state. Tell me the state. And let's look it up and see whether it was legal or not. Because just because somebody says that it's legal doesn't mean that it is. Tell us the state that this happened in. And Shayna is saying depends on the situation. No, no, it really doesn't. It depends on the law and it depends on the state. I looked for a federal statute for parental relocation with the children. There's no federal statute that I have been able to find, so it varies state to state. So tell us the state. Perhaps there is a state where this is legal. I'm telling you all that at the time that Danae said that she did this, it was not legal in the state of Georgia. Where are the people who can show me that this is legal for a wife to relocate her children in the state of Georgia at between 2018 and 2021? Show me where it's legal for any parent to be able to take their children across state lines and relocate with the children. I want to know where are the people who are going to show me that this is legal. Oh, we have our first phone call coming in. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Nina. I'm calling from Illinois.
Oh, give me
I'm
one
not
second.
one
I
of the
got to get
haters,
you into the right. I got to get you into the right area. All right. You said your name
of
is
course.
Nina, calling in from Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Nina, talk to me. Do you feel that I am a male identified mammy, and you want
No, of
to?
course not.
Oh.
I'm calling on opposite. I know that wasn't what you asked for, but these people are ignorant. My sister took
Mm-hmm.
her two children all the way down to Alabama, talking about since she'd have more opportunities, she'd have a better chance at life, blah blah blah. And
Mm-hmm.
her baby daddy, who they were not married, went to court, drug her back 4 or 5 times. She could no longer afford to come back, and then she lost custody of her son. You can't just leave the state with your children. You have to have a court order, and I don't know what state they call from saying you can. You have to have a court order awarding you custody. And then when you want to leave the state, if the other parent contests it, you have to have a good reason why you want to leave the state. If you
Mm-hmm.
choose to leave the state, if even with a court order, the other parent can make you pay to get the children back for visitation.
Mm. Whoa,
So, and
whoa,
this is,
whoa.
I know this is Illinois, okay? I know this is Maryland. I know this is Colorado. I don't know what state you can just decide what you're going to do with your children when there's
Mm.
another parent involved.
Yeah. What about if the
So,
parent, if the father's name is not on the birth certificate, if paternity has not been established, does anyone know about that?
so before they're going to award custody to anyone, if anyone's contesting paternity, they're going to order a paternity test
Okay. I
because
need to
my
just
sister had
address.
to do that too.
I need to address something.
So,
There's someone in the
yeah.
comments that said that Katrina is saying even if the relocation is valid, even if the relocation is valid, like in domestic abuse, the authorities still have to be notified, and the court has to be involved. Okay, okay,
That's
yeah,
true. Yep.
yeah. So I'm.
You can't just take people's children from them. You
So
might hate the
then,
person. They might be an abusive jerk. You have to go to court and prove what you're saying.
okay, and so you said
So,
that your sister lost custody of her son. Why didn't she just move
mhm,
back to where they were at?
because she thought she was doing better for herself down there with no money, no job, and everyone going down there to bail her out all the time. That's why. You know, people
Mm,
get in their own mindsets. They think they know
okay,
best.
okay, okay, okay. Got you, got you, got you. All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in and giving your point of view. How long has it been since your sister lost custody?
Well, she's passed away now. She was shot to death a couple of years ago. But this was, the child is like 20 now, and she lost custody when he was about 5 years old.
So 15 years ago,
Yep.
and then
But I'm
someone.
going through a divorce right now, and I still have,
Oh,
I can't just do what I want with the kids.
yeah, yeah.
It's just not how it works.
So
I know
what
people
have
want to think
you?
that, oh, well, I'm the mom, I should do what I want, but no.
So what is it that? So you. Wow. So you're getting divorced right now. What have you learned about? What have you learned about paternity, about parental rights, etc. Since
So here's the hilarious part. The man is an abuser, not to me. He's a sexual abuser of minors. I know this. Um, and we're getting divorced because of that. We have two adopted children. They will not take away his parental rights. And they were my niece and nephew before I married him. You see what I'm saying? They will not take away his rights. Um, our son together, me and his son, biological son together, is 15, wants nothing to do with him. The judge still has to sign off saying that he doesn't have visitation, he doesn't have any physical or legal custody over them. The other two children are by someone else, and he does not have rights to them because he was not their parent. But those three, the biological and the adopted, unless the judge says he has to stay away, he literally could come right now and try to give visitation. The only reason he won't is because there's a warrant for his arrest.
So hold on. Hold on. During the course of your marriage, he abused a minor?
That's correct.
How did you all find out about this?
The minor came to me and told me.
The minor came to you, told you, and then you went to the police?
Oh yeah, I told the police to be here when he got back to the house, because if they weren't here, it was not going to be pretty.
So he came back to the house and the police were already there and they took him into custody?
No, they didn't take him into custody because all they had was this minor with an accusation. So they took a statement from him, like a quick little what happened, whatever, asked him if he'd because I couldn't even make him leave. This is the thing, people think they have so much control. I bought this house that I live in. He didn't help me pay for it, but since he has residency here, they could not make him leave. They convinced him he should leave because I told them, he can stay here tonight, but you'll be collecting his body in the morning. So they convinced him he should go. And then they took a victim statement with a psychological police officer. They have these police officers that can tell your mindset and tell the truth or not. They believed the minor, and so they called him and said, "Come into the station. We got a few questions for you. Come Thursday." And he never showed up. So then they issued the warrant for his arrest.
Oh, wow. You believed the minor. What was it that made you believe her off the bat?
Oh, I always believe children first. I don't even give a damn. I don't care. I'm always going to believe the child first, and then the adult can make their case. I'm never, ever, ever going to pick an adult over a child ever in any situation. I could care less.
Okay. And then so you said that your husband legally adopted your niece and nephew with you.
That's correct.
Okay, so he signed
I
all the
saw a little
paperwork for
comment
the...
that said, I'm calling people dumb, but I married a molester, as if people don't front on who they are, as if people don't pretend like who they are and do things under your nose. What are they talking about? Get your life. Whoever that commenter was can go somewhere and whatever.
Right. While you're on the phone
Anyways,
with
I'm
me, I
sorry.
need you to talk to me, because if you want to talk to
Yeah.
people in the comments, then I can let you get off the phone so you can go address them. So he legally adopted the children with you, and you are now attempting to stop him from being able to see the adopted children? Or you're
Yes,
not
because he's not
attempting?
safely around minor children.
Okay, so he cannot be around minor children, but the
That's
courts
right. There's a
still say he has a
restraining
right.
order, but
Oh, go ahead.
yep. So there's a restraining order, but that doesn't automatically take away his rights.
Okay,
I
so
have to get a court
he
order.
still has rights to see the children.
That's correct. Well,
Okay.
he has legal rights as far as parenting. He can't come around us because of a restraining order.
Because the children are minors, or because of a different type of restraining order?
The restraining order is because of what he did. I went and got a restraining order to protect the minor children from him.
Okay. But that didn't, so how is visitation handled? Has he tried to get visitation?
No, because if it weren't for his arrest, he has not tried to come around. The second he tries to come around, I'm just calling the police.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying? But legally, his parental rights are not stripped.
Okay, so when the
They're
restraining
not stripped.
order
That's the whole point.
expires, when the restraining
I
order
have to go get another
expires,
one.
you have to get another one. Okay, I got you.
Yep. They're only for 2 years. The first one's only for a few months. Then after that, they're for every 2 years.
Okay. So I'm confused because it sounds like he's not able to see the children, but he still has parental rights. So how does
That's
that
correct.
work? How does that work?
Until the court terminates parental rights, you still have parental rights.
So then how is he exercising his parental rights right now?
He's not. He's not. But my point is, if I wanted to leave the state, I cannot do that.
You cannot leave the state and he
I
cannot
can't
see
just
the
take my kids
children.
and move. That's correct.
Have they issued supervised visitation?
No, he's not going to get any type of supervised visitation. What he's
Wh-
going to have is no visitation because he is dangerous to minors. You see what I'm
I
saying?
need you. No, no, I don't see what you're saying. I need you to help me understand because he still has parental rights, but
On
he
paper,
is
yeah,
right. He has parental rights on paper, but he's not able to see the children and will not be able to see the children and cannot get supervised visitation, can't get anything.
right. Until the divorce gets final and the judge has decreed that the custody is mine and mine alone, he still has legal rights.
So, but how is his legal right showing up if he's not even able to see the children? That's the thing that's confusing.
They they can't show up. But my point is, I can't supersede his either.
Okay.
My attorney, I went through this with my attorney. I went back and forth because I did not understand why he would have
Okay.
any kind of rights when we know he's a child molester.
Right,
So my
exactly.
petition is for sole custody, sole physical custody, sole legal custody, and zero visitation. So once that decree is in place,
Okay.
then he literally won't have any parental rights.
Got you,
But
got you,
that
got
doesn't
you.
happen until after the court decides it happens. So my whole point was these people out here saying, oh, I can just take my kid and leave the state. You literally can't. You can try
Yeah.
that, but if you have a parent that's trying to be in their kid's life, you're just going to give yourself a headache and a half.
Got you, got you, got you. Interesting,
Because even
interesting.
with everything I just described, that man still has parental rights,
Got you.
which I
Very
hate.
interesting. Well, you know what? How old are your niece and nephew?
So they are 11 and 14.
How old was the minor that he abused?
Started when she was 8. Last time she was 17.
How old was she when she came to you and told you?
17.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Is she in therapy?
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Is the family in therapy? Because this is a lot to unpack.
Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. You know what
I'm
I,
everything you can think of. Like I don't play games. So like I know people.
okay,
I don't play games about things. So like
I got you. I got you.
people can put
Okay,
up facades and you believe them or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and then you're confronted with something that's opposite of that, and then it's
Yeah,
just time to be done with that.
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
me,
I
I don't
got
know
you.
how people do, but
I got you. I got you. Well, Godspeed on your divorce, my dear. Godspeed.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone asked about prison. So, has he been arrested? Is he going to get? Has he been charged? Is he going to go to prison?
There's a warrant for his arrest, and he's running from the law.
Oh,
So if someone
wow.
can find him, he can be arrested.
Got you. Well, you know what? Another call is coming in, so let me grab this. I thank you for your
Okay.
call. Thank you. Thank you. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from? Then the person hung up. Let's You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Shira. I'm from New Jersey.
Hi, Shira from New Jersey.
Uh,
You're on the air live. Tonight's topic is Tonya Tko is a male identified mammy. And so
oh,
we just got wait, go ahead, Shira. What is your call about this evening?
well, I don't think you're any of those things. My friend shared your live broadcast with me a few months ago, and I've been following ever since.
Mm,
And I love your shows and your topics. And
thank
I don't
you.
think you're a mammy.
Mm,
I wanted to touch on a couple of things about like child custody and, parents and court and stuff like that. I'm pretty versed in that area, so I figured I would
Okay.
call in. I normally
Okay.
wouldn't call into a show. It's my first time ever
Okay.
doing that. So from state to state, and by the way, the reason why I know a lot of this stuff is because I have a criminal justice degree and a paralegal degree, although I don't work in that capacity anymore. And I'm in court quite a bit because I have a very young child, and unfortunately, the other side of parenthood can, some parents can actually use the courts as a form of abuse or harassment,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right.
They could take you to court 100 times for the dumbest stuff, and the courts can't deny that person from doing it.
Right.
So I've been a pro se litigant for many years. So I'm very familiar with the court system. I had an attorney that mentored me as well. State to state, as someone said, the laws are different. You'll find more in the Bible Belt, southern states. The mothers have more rights, especially if they're a single mother and they give birth. You'll usually find that they're automatically given sole custody, full custody, et cetera. More in the northeast region, you'll find it's a little different. A lot of this stuff is political as well. A lot of you have to keep in mind, too, that depending on where you live, how people vote, politics play a part as well in the courtroom and in the legal system, and who's in the superior court building, with all of that stuff. And what's going on in your state. Some states are, pro this, pro that. And what you're going to find now is fathers are actually getting more rights than they did before.
Yeah.
I had to explain this to someone. They were in court 20 years ago. Their kid is an adult. And I'm like, you have not been in court in the past 10 years. The system has changed. They're giving men more rights. You have to remember that, we're going through, LGBT, Q, correct. I'm sorry if I don't say it right. LGBTQ plus, and so many different things where, men are, I'm still learning about the binary thing and everything non-binary. So we're going through all of these changes in society. So of course that transcends in the courtroom as well. So they're not really putting emphasis on, oh, you're a mother, you're female. Things have changed a whole lot. What I will say, listening to the call with the young lady and the children, my heart goes out to her children that went through abuse. As far as the father having rights at that point, usually when a child has been a victim of abuse, they usually Child Protective Services will get involved, especially if there's a police report that's done. The police have a duty to notify Child Protective Services in your state. And then from there, they get involved. And usually what they do is they have what some people will refer to as an emergency hearing, or in the courts, it's called an order to show cause hearing. And what happens is that you don't have to wait 2 months to go to court. That emergent hearing could happen within days. CIFIS or Child Protective Services, they go to court and they basically say that that person is causing like imminent danger to the child. And they can no longer be around a child. You don't need a divorce decree. You don't need anything. Usually it'll be granted if there's any forms of abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, anything like that. And, it'll be active. Restraining order, revocation of rights, as far as being around a child, that would be automatically granted. You wouldn't need a divorce decree for that. And that's if the report of the abuse is handled a certain way through the authorities and through Child Protective Services. As far as leaving the state, it really depends. There's so many like loose ends with this thing, with leaving the state, being a parent, right? So you have some parents that are single parents when they have the child, they're not married, and the birth certificate is filled out by the mother and the father has not filled it out.
Right.
Now, I know in New Jersey, if there's no proof of fatherhood on that birth certificate, then the mom pretty much is on her own with the decisions that she's making.
Okay.
Most of the time when a single mother has a child, the father needs to establish custody. Even if he signs the birth certificate, he still needs to establish custody through the legal system.
Okay.
Because what happens is he doesn't, his rights are like limited, basically. And unfortunately, there are good mothers that may have to leave the state for very good reasons. And there's some mothers that are being malicious when they do it. However, that father would need to make sure he fills out court papers and establishes, hey, this is my child. I have, paternity, if he wants to prove DNA, all of those options. When they fill out the application to establish custody in court, all of that stuff is on the application. We can check off that they want DNA if they are questioning whether the child is theirs, but they want to establish their rights as far as visitation and everything else. Like, for example, I have like what is called primary physical custody, and my son's father has visitation.
Okay.
So although I have primary, we have what is called joint legal custody. It doesn't mean that we have like a 50-50 custody under joint legal custody.
Okay.
It just means that we both have to discuss school, medical. I can't just take my son and say, I'm moving to Florida, we'll see you later. Once that's established in the courts, then I can be basically sanctioned if I were to do that. If I were to just leave the state, my son's father, although he's annoying and, whatever else, he could actually file in court and say, hey, she moved out of the state. I have not seen my son. According to this court order, I'm supposed to see my son during these times, and now I can't see him anymore. Then the court can order for me to come to a hearing, and at that point, it'll be considered an enforcement of his rights and an enforcement of the court order for me to have to come back. Okay. Now, there are court papers, if people want to do stuff the right way, there are court papers where you can file an application and request a modification in your custody. And you could actually, they have it on the paperwork where you can request permission from the judge to move. And it doesn't mean that it won't get granted. I've seen parents where it does get granted. But you have to follow a guideline.
But you have to do that first. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
You just
All
have
right.
to
Well, you know
establish
what?
things first. What'd you say?
I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in and giving us this information. I'm going to jump on and take the next call because I want to try to keep the call short. We've been on for almost 10 minutes. So thank you. I appreciate your... No, please don't apologize. I'm happy to have had this information. So now that we have the information, we're going to continue to discuss. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So, look, we're going to... You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tonya. This is Misha, and I'm calling from, I'm in California. I'm in LA.
All right. So, Misha from LA. Okay. So, the topic tonight is that Tanya's a male identified Mammy because I said that children need both parents. And we were talking about the Danae Jackson situation where she relocated with the children. People were saying she had every right to. And I'm asking people to show me where she legally had the right to move her children to another state. And people are just not able to provide that. So, Misha, talk to us. What is your comment this evening?
So Tonya, I work for a school district here in Southern California. And I deal with a lot of family issues, custody agreements, parents not getting along, parents, because they're arguing with one another, they don't want this parent to be able to come pick the kid up, but the way that it goes here in California is that all parents have educational and medical rights to the students. So like, let's say me and my husband are together and let's say I have full custody, he still has access to educational rights, medical rights, things like that, unless otherwise stated, in any court documents. But recently, it's funny because recently we had a student, she's a first grader this year. And last year, her kindergarten year was her first year with us. And we knew off rip that her dad and her mom, I don't know that they were ever married, but they were not together. And we knew that they had some custody issues going on. And that was kind of like last year. And so this year, last fall to be exact, just before Christmas break, the dad notified us and teacher via email that whatever day was going to be her last day, right? And so when teacher asked the student, is today going to be your last day? The student was kind of confused. So then, teacher emailed mom and was like, student is saying that this Friday is her last day. I haven't heard anything. What's going on? Teacher comes into the office. I tell her that dad came in to volunteer a few days earlier. And yeah, he confirmed that he's going to take her. They're having a hard time out here in California. They can't find childcare. Mom, just a little backstory. I don't think that mom is, I think she has like some drug, history and some other stuff. And so when I was looking at their court document with the custody agreement, it did say that she needed to take like substance abuse classes, a couple of parenting classes, things like that in order to get her full parental rights back. But it also stated that he was not able to abscond with with the little girl, without prior approval from the court. And so he thought that he could just move away with her because he had more rights, I guess, because he had full physical custody of her. But the student, I know for a fact, the grandmother picks the girl up on Mondays, Wednesdays, and for the weekend. And then mom has to go visit her daughter at her grandmother's house. Mom has some issues, but they didn't take all away her rights, from her being able to see her child. And so dad just thought he could leave with her, and mom called and was like, no, he can't do that. That's not fair. That's illegal. And she goes, no, you guys, I'm going to get, I have to call the court. I'm going to get an emergency thing. She was able to contact the court, get an emergency hearing, and they stopped him from taking that girl out of the state. And he says that when he got the call to let him know that he couldn't do that, he said that he had already given up the apartment. They were already on the road, all leaving the state. And he was informed that if he didn't come back, they would put out an APB on him and the little girl, and he would be arrested. So he came back.
Oh, wow. There are people in the
yeah,
comments who are talking about leaving the country. So if a person leaves the country, are they going to be extradited? Do you know? Does anyone in the comments know?
You know what? I haven't had any students leave the country, even though the district that I work in, a lot of the students are Asian, so they come from like Japan and places like that. But I haven't had anything like that. But yeah, this particular father he was just going to go to Kentucky. He has homes, and I think he gets like his income and stuff from like rental properties. And he was like, it's just easier for me and, baby girl, if we just go live there because things are not working out for us here. But even that mother with all her issues and her drug, like the state still was like, sir, you can't take this girl. You can't do that, especially without prior approval from the court. We have instances where there was a kid that I had last year that his biological father, who was locked up in prison, popped up at the school to see him, right? And he's listed in Power School, which is the student information site that we use to document everything. It has student records, all of that good stuff. And he's listed in there. He's always been listed in there since the kid was in kinder. And he just popped up one day and wanted to visit. He's there. I knew who he was, from a few years prior. And he stopped by to visit. And then, of course, after school, when the student went home, they informed mom, and mom came to the school, and she was upset because she says that, she's moved on now. She's got a new husband, and she, I guess he did some bad stuff that sent him to prison. She didn't go elaborate, but she didn't want dad possibly coming up to the school to pick up the son. And we had to, I conferred with my principal, and we had to confirm that unless there's documentation saying that a parent is not allowed to pick up their child, we can't stop him from picking up his child, So we told mom, you might need to go and get a restraining order or go get something on file and then bring it to us that lets us know, hey, we have this documentation on file from the court saying that you're not allowed to pick up this student. Otherwise, we can't stop him from taking his son.
Exactly.
We can't stop. We would get in trouble. We would get in trouble for something like that, So you can't. I know a lot of people just, and like the girl said before, I'm originally from Texas. I'm originally from the South, and in Texas, mothers do have. They tend to favor mothers in court more so. I think that's just like a Southern thing, but in general, I don't. For a lot of places, from what I'm seeing, is you can't really just take the kids and just go. And I think for a lot of women who are able to do that and they don't face any pushback, I feel it's because the fathers don't care anyway.
So
they're like,
okay,
yeah,
so hold on, Thank
go.
you. I just wanna address that with you real quick. I do not think that the courts favor mothers. I believe that the courts actually favor fathers, but they favor fathers when they show up. And far too many
That's correct.
fathers
That's correct.
don't show up because I have
Yeah.
heard of women in Florida. We have a knockout in Florida. We have several knockouts in Florida who lost their children to the father simply because he petitioned the court. That this is, if you think about it, if you really think about it, and there's a call coming in. So let me grab this call. Thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Tonya. I'm Erica. Erica in the chat. I'm
Okay.
calling from Gainesville, Florida.
All right, so we have Florida in the house. Okay, so pause just a moment. I was actually talking about Florida. So give me just one moment and I'll come right back to you. We have
Yes,
several
ma'am.
knockouts in Florida who have lost their children to the father merely because he petitioned the courts. And so far too many men just don't show up. They automatically think that the courts are against them. But if you think about it, we live in a patriarchy that is run by men who create laws in the rooms with men where there are sometimes no women present, and
Yes, ma'am.
there just aren't enough men who step forward. So many don't even know how many rights they actually really do have, and I think a lot of fathers by default give up their rights, or some may not even really care. So there are some women who think that they have more rights than they actually do until there is a father who steps forward and shows that we have systems in this country. Because if you think about it, in the 1920s, custody automatically went to the fathers. Like in the suffragette movement or in the suffrage movement, when women were trying to get the right to vote, women could not own property. They weren't working. Men automatically got custody. So you have to remember that these are men's courts and laws written by men, etc. So tell us your name one more time. We know you're calling from Florida.
Hi, it's Erica. Erica
Erica.
in the chat.
Okay. So
Yeah,
Erica,
Erica
talk to
with the
us. What is
crazy
your
A.
comment this evening?
Okay, so you're right on the money. I didn't watch the Danae Jackson. I did watch In and Out, but I couldn't stay the whole thing. But in regards to the Florida situation, yes, indeed. I had a magistrate this past year in 2022. I had to take I just basically got a divorce, and we've been going through it. So I had to take them back to court, my child's father, who was my best friend before. We've been best friends for 10 straight years. Anyways, the magistrate here, her name was Bridget something something. They are now trying to make it like, why are you're trying to take his rights away? What had happened with my situation was he, when I put him out for his infidelity and pettiness, he was wanting to be with his brothers. His father had about 20 children. So he decided when one of his, whatever, supposedly half brothers that his father denied came home, he'd rather run around and he came out of prison. He'd rather run around and go change, who he's been for like 10 consecutive years. He became this whole totally different person when this half sibling came home. Now, when he went over there, I put him out and I was allowing him to see his son for like a whole year, almost 2. And taking him over to this trailer that he became a roommate in. Turned out at the end of 2020, like in December, one of the brothers, Jeremy, he got arrested for, the R word on a young lady about the age of 15 or 16 that was supposed to have been the daughter of the girlfriend. It was so much controversy. And I told him, I didn't approve of my child, even though my child is a male. I don't want you to take my child around whosoever anymore, because that could have been a more intense situation. You don't even know what's going on in the property you're residing at. And you might have known and thought it was no big deal because it was a child and she might have been consenting. But, at my son, who is only 9 now, everybody has a couple of holes. Everybody has 2 holes. And if you have this You understand what I'm trying to say? So
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to court and have it modified. Plus, he was doing things whereas he would pick up my child when it was entertaining and convenient for him. When he wanted to show off how his son was being reared, that's when he had time to pick him up. And then he would drop him off when he was no longer convenient or he had to step up and be responsible. They like it's a bad thing, but it was in Florida. And when I went back to the court to petition for full custodial rights, the lady was completely against me and was like, why would you want to keep this man out of his son's life? And she was like trying to completely like baby mama me. Like, I just want him to be a financial sponsor, a financial contributor, but not, oh, no, no, honey, you got it twisted. My son's father is a good man to me, but he's right now acting juvenile. I can't risk my son's safety allowing him to go to certain places. I don't know who's there. I don't know what's taking place there.
Yeah.
These people were doing so much stuff. The trailer behind them recently in Gainesville, Florida, their friends, a baby, I think the baby was like between 2 and 5, picked up a weapon and unalived another child in the trailer right behind where my son was going.
So this
And
is
I
like a
had to
trailer
fight the
park?
court. Yes, ma'am. A trailer park
Okay.
called Lamplighter.
You don't have to
And I
say
had
all
to
of
fight the
that.
court.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I had to fight the court. And so I'm just saying, you know, if the man stands up, the only thing that my child's father cared about when we went
Mm-hmm.
back to court for mediation was if he would still be allowed to claim his child on taxes. That's all he wanted. He didn't care if I left the state. He didn't care anything in the mediation order. He only thing that perked his ears up was the financial. He thought that he would continue paying child support, and at the end of the year, he'd just get it all back by filing the son on taxes. When he found out through the divorce, the child is now primary custody of the mother, which means you legally cannot file that child on your taxes, he was upset. And then when we had to reschedule to come back, because this was during COVID, so we were doing a lot of this virtually. When we came back to go to court in person, he decided not to show up. And at this time, he believed that things didn't get signed and the stuff was not, it was complete without him attending. He just doesn't believe it. And I had to let him know, oh, just because you didn't show up, you know what that means? It means you actually lost by default because I didn't have to keep fighting and proving, which I already had all the evidence. All the, you know, you're working in, yeah, all the evidence was there. Everything, the people in the house that got arrested in his house, the people that were arrested in the house that was affiliated with his trailer, it was all there in the same county. So I didn't have to do too much of fighting. It was just right now in the state of the nation, they are trying to give fathers more rights. They're trying to make the men stay affiliated with their children, not just financially.
Mm-hmm.
But these men, they really don't want to.
Yeah,
And then it was so many people in the office that helped me, you know, like the clerks, and they have, you know, like you do it yourself attorney type stuff. And they already knew what was going on. They want to be fathers, but when it's convenient for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, sorry to
Absolutely.
take up so much time.
No,
I'm
I
really passionate. You're
appreciate you
not a
giving your
mammy.
point of view.
I love the show. Keep doing what you do and don't back down for nobody. And you
Thank
do it
you.
so gracefully.
Oh, you think so? Even when those
You
curse
make me
words are flying
proud,
out?
baby girl. You just make me proud because I'll be getting too ghetto with them.
Oh, I see.
I'm
Well,
going back to the chat. Stay
okay
easy.
then. All right, bye. All right. So I see that we don't have any calls from people who feel that I'm a male identified mammy. And so I already know what's going to happen after we get off of live on the air. There are going to be people who are going to be commenting in the comments area about how they feel and this, that, and the other, but they never came up and said it to me so that I can get a clear understanding for why they feel a certain way, how they came to a certain point of view. Because they're here and you'll see them commenting the moment that the video goes up and we're no longer live and there's no threat of calling in, you know, they'll be putting their comments in the comment section. So is there anybody here who would like to confront me live on air and tell me how they feel that I am male identified. When I looked it up, there is a sociological term that discusses what male identified is. This is actually a sociological term that talks about how men behavior is the default, and a person who is male identified, according to the terms that I've read, is a person who believes that male behavior is the default, and that is what is considered normal, and that they hold women up against male behavior as the default. And it's really interesting because there was actually someone who commented on here that they don't feel that people were calling me male identified or a mammy. I think that you should go back to the live video and take a look in the comments area, as well as the comments that were posted after the video was up. There's one person who said that she was going to explain to me how I was male identified. And there was another person who was talking about how I'm not on code and that men are always on code and that we women need to get like men and get more on code. And I actually responded back to this person that that is the very definition of what male identified is: behaving in a manner that you feel is the baseline because these behaviors are performed by men. Let me tell you something. Being quote unquote on code, regardless of how wrong another person is toxic. These men in the manosphere who are upholding the toxicity that other men are spewing merely because they're men, these men are followers. They're not leaders. They're toxic. And that is not the motherfucking behavior that I am going to exhibit simply because some ball dragger exhibits this behavior. That is the definition of male identified. And so I'm waiting for somebody to call and tell me how I am male identified, because listen, I am always willing to shift, change, and become better. And if there's a person who can explain to me how I am aligned with the male point of view, by all means, please call in and help me become a better person, because I do not want to be out here in these streets being male identified or being out here in these streets staying on some toxic code because the person who is behaving in such a manner happens to have some ovaries. So I want someone to please help me understand this. But in the meantime, let's check these apples. The volume is low, but I hear it. Here we go. We got a few apples in. This is the code on the screen in case you want to send an apple through. It is the QR code. Let me read some of these right now. Samaj is back in the building, and Samaj says, so happy you are back in the studio. Why is that? Did you all miss the studio? I'm happy that we can have these call-in shows and that I'm in the frame of mind to be able to do these live shows as well. Erica says, I'm in time out, but Tonya is not a mammy. Why are you in time out, Erica? What have you done? What have you done to get yourself in time out? Angeline sends $2 and says, for controversial topics. So I appreciate that. Let me send some hearts through. Perfect. I appreciate you all. So the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. I want to hear from these people who feel that I'm male. If not, I'm getting off the broadcast and I'm going to go watch some anime, because I enjoy in my free time watching anime, because I find that the storylines are very complex and very layered, and they're a lot different than American programming that posits people as, either these super good or super bad, but there's not really many layers in between. But in anime, I feel that there's so many layers. So we have a call coming in. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Role play. I'm calling from Atlanta. Role play. Tonya, you are a mammy. You are a mammy.
Okay, so we're doing some role play. All right, so please help me understand how I am a mammy. Give me some of this constructive feedback.
How dare you? You know exactly what you're doing and why you are a mammy, Tonya TKO. You are trying to get black women hurt out here. You're trying to
Oh,
get them with put them with males that they that may hurt them. You know the femicide rate is so high.
okay. What exactly am I doing to try to get women with males that are hurting them?
This so-called dating show trying to be like KG.
You know,
Tanya,
now you're starting to sound
Tanya,
unhinged. I thought this was a role play. You starting to sound like you going through some things. You sound like you're going through some things.
I'm
You
so sorry. I'm so I don't think you're a mammy, Tanya. I do not think you're a mammy. But I just had to make you laugh a little bit because this is ridiculous. Where did this come from?
people have been saying it for a few months, actually for a few years now. Ever since I said that I was against the aborting of fetuses based on race and gender. People have been calling me a mammy and a pick me since then. And now I've started getting called male identified because I said that a mother does not have legal rights to relocate with the children. Regardless of what's going on with their marriage, whether he's cheating on her or not, he's still the father to those children. And especially in a case like Danae Jackson, Danae chose a philanderer to be the father of her children. As a matter of fact, she may have even used the children as pawns to try to get him to wrangle him to stay in this marriage and stay in the house. And when that didn't work, she decided to do what she said she knew would hurt him, which was moving the
Wow.
children out of state. So there are people who are saying this, and I am hoping to be able to understand.
I I I don't know why people are saying that, but I don't think you're a mammy. Um, if you're a mammy, then I think you're a mammy for black women, which I appreciate. Thank you. Um, you have taught like me. This is Khadijah, by the way. You have
Oh,
taught
hey,
me a
Khadijah.
lot. Especially like being on the road and stuff like that. You taught me a lot over the self love and everything, and
Mm,
the mammying for. It's just everything that you say has logic to it. So
mm,
I mean, I find mammying something that's irrational, something
mm,
that's like you're not putting yourself first. And so like hearing that people are calling you a mammy is like you wouldn't the idea of being a mammy is not putting yourself first. So you are the epitome of putting yourself first or putting your self love first. So
mm.
that's why this is such a shock to me.
Oh,
Um,
I see, I see.
yeah.
I thought that there would be more people because there's a lot of people who say this stuff online. But maybe they're just not on the channel. Maybe they were on the live broadcast. But we have 600 people here on YouTube. We have 50 or 60 people on Facebook. We got our one Twitchy, and we're also broadcasting live on LinkedIn and Twitter. And none of the
You know,
people are really
we
calling in.
know it.
What'd you say, babe?
We the people who are like in the BWE spaces, like
Mm-hmm.
that follow the content creators, we know who's calling you a mammy. I
Mm,
don't want to say no names, but
thank you.
we already know who it is.
Oh, well, you
Um,
know what? Somebody is calling in. Maybe this is someone who is going to help me understand. So let me grab this call. Khadija, thank you so much for calling in.
yeah. All right. You have a good night.
Okay, good night. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from? Hello? You, oh, this person, we lost the call or something. I don't know what happened, but you know what? As a matter of fact, here we go. Let's try again. Kendra, I love you too. Somebody call Ayala Vanzata, Mammy. Ayala Zan has lost her doggone mind. I don't know what's going on with her. I just something is not right with her. She's losing it. It looks like we are. Why are you all doing Ayanna like that? Ayanna has
Please leave
lost.
your message for.
Okay, it looks like that person is not going to answer the call. Apparently, they may have. I don't know. Maybe another call came in. Maybe they were at work in the bathroom. Do you remember? Do you remember before I went on vacation, we had a call-in show, and there was a young lady who called in from work on the bathroom, wanting to wrestle with the person who was on the love seat. Do you all remember that? Yeah. So, oh goodness, we have a call coming in. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Takesha. I'm calling from Mississippi.
Oh, we have Crooked Letter in the house. Come on, Takesha. What's your comment this evening?
I just looked up the definition of mammy because I was curious, and what it says is not you. Like, it's a nurse that works for a white family. That's what I see online in every dictionary type. Um, that's what it's being defined as, and I don't know why someone would call you that, but that's
I
not
see.
what I think you are.
I see. I see. So I know what's going to happen. No one is going to call in and they're just going to start commenting after the fact. And then it'll be too late then because then they'll just be commenting. Well, I
That's
appreciate
it.
you calling in. So I will tell you the modern day definition of a mammy is a woman, black woman primarily, who um who throws her cape around the shoulders of men and attempts to mother them and save them and tap dance, putting herself in harm's way to be able to uplift, save, and baby these men without holding them accountable, but just being this mother figure to save them. So that's what it's the modern day definition has really kind of swirled around
Evolve.
that. Yeah, and
Gotcha.
so in the same way that they had those big sexless Aunt Jemima types who were living in the white man's house, breastfeeding his children and ignoring her own. So I think that
Right.
well, not even ignoring her own, but not being able to show up in the same capacity for our own children. I think that the modern day definition has been, I suppose, like a woman who behaves at the detriment to womankind for the saving and upliftment of men. And so I see that the men have been very quiet on tonight's broadcast, and the women who feel that I am a mammy have not shown up to help. Oh, there's a call coming in, so let me jump on this call, and then we'll talk another time. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, you're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tanya, this is Renee calling from Atlanta.
Hey, we have Renee from Atlanta in the house. You were down there in the neck of the woods with Danae and Street Meat Jackson.
Listen, and I didn't even know it. I thought your critique of the interview was very objective, because we don't know like what happened in real life, and she has exhibited that she is clearly that she can be manipulative. So we don't know if she's 100% being transparent, and we don't know how much of the situation she manipulated. But I wanted to say that I appreciate your platform because you and a few other Black women YouTubers got me to shift going so hard for a community and it not being reciprocated. So
Mm,
y'all helped me kind of like fall back and let other folks do the heavy lifting
mm,
and really change how I see the world. And quite frankly, men should be doing a lot of the community work.
mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so I thought you were very objective because what we don't realize as women is some women manipulate other women because they assume that we just don't stand behind them solely for being women. And sometimes women are wrong.
That is true. Sometimes women are wrong. And I think that people expect for us to just put our heads down and just agree on GP.
Right. And right is right and wrong is wrong. And while I do empathize with Danae, I mean, there were multiple red flags where she could have exited that relationship, but for whatever reason, she chose to stay. So I appreciate your analysis. I appreciate you being very censored and not going one way or another, and just being very critical and encouraging us to be critical thinkers.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, so we'll probably talk about this when we do the last third of the interview, because we still have half of one of the second interview to go over. And so we'll probably talk more about some of the manipulative tactics that Danae participated in. Let me grab this call real quick. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Tonya, it's NT from California.
Hey, NT from Cali. I just need to address something real quick. So if you could just hold for just one moment, please.
Okay.
So Goodness Rated is asking, how did she manipulate Derek? No one can manipulate Derek unless you got the new. That's so nasty. So there were several ways that she herself talked about how she would manipulate him in the relationship. One of the things was the threat of taking any child of his and moving across the country if she was not married. She also talked about how she would sit in the closet crying so that he could catch her, as well as sitting up on the dresser crying and waiting for her to hear him coming in so that he can catch her crying, and so that she could weaponize these tears as a way of trying to elicit some sort of reaction or response from him. Because I mean, you know what the thing about it is, that I think that women, that we need to be more realistic about some of the tactics that we employ to be able to get a reaction out of men, especially if they're slippery, if they are non-reactional, if they don't really seem very emotive. The different things that we can do to try to get some sort of reaction out of them, to try to get confirmation that they still care, to try to get confirmation that they care about something. So trying different things, trying to hurt them in different ways. So yeah, so there were several things that she did, that she admitted to doing, to be manipulative. And I personally feel that relocating with the children was a way for her to attempt to manipulate Derek into behaving a certain way and trying to package them as a deal where you can get your children if you come back to the house and we're a family, and then that way you can have access to your children, rather than realizing that, look, he does not want to be there with you in the capacity that you want him to be as husband and wife, but those are still his children. When you choose a philanderer for your children, I mean, don't be surprised when they continue to philander. So that's my comment on that. So NT from Cali, welcome on the line. Talk to us. What's your comment this evening?
Okay, so I can't speak on a mammy thing just because that's not something I particularly, that's just not a word that's in my vocabulary. I have a
Mm-hmm.
general understanding what it is, but
Okay.
again, I definitely don't think I'm an expert on who is and who who is or who isn't like a mammy per se. But one thing I wanted to speak on in general is that I think honestly this is kind of like some sort of um, like war tactic people are trying to use against you, to be quite honest with you. And the only reason I use war very lightly, because we understand that in this current climate, how we all have different degrees of, I would say, like psychological strength and just
Mm-hmm.
being concrete within ourselves. Some people can't survive as long as you have. In the YouTube space and what have you, speaking on the particular matters that you speak on without taking some hits and then not and then surviving it, right? So I feel like these are people like poor attempts to try to weaken you more or less. And outside looking in, and based on what I understand is going on, particularly in the Black community with the BWE, the Passport Bros, the Red Pill, and things of that nature, I think a lot of people see you as a threat. I think they see you as a threat because you're very independent. You don't tend to side with any particular person, so they don't know how, they can't rely on you, and you're unpredictable. And people that don't tend to take a side generally are perceived as a threat. Because if you're not for me, you're against me, and that's usually the default thinking process. I think you hit something when you mentioned being on code, right? As you go into these various spaces, irrespective of people may think these content creators' intents are, they do encourage sort of an echo chamber. There's no managing of people. There's no encouraging people to be critical and independent in their own thinking. You, however, do encourage that quite a bit. And I think when you have, as individuals, have resided in an echo chamber for so long, when you become quite dependent on that programming or system. And some people may not admit that they are somehow inheriting programming from these various groups, but that's exactly what's happening.
That's very interesting.
You're kind of allowing someone else to think for you, and therefore you are adjusting your behaviors based on this programming or this thinking, and you don't tend to be introspective or critical of that because you're in an environment that supports that, and individuals that support that thinking and that behavior. And so with me, that's why I personally like variety. I like independent thinkers. I don't have to agree with everybody. And I think YouTube is big enough that everyone has a space in here.
That's
I think
true.
as consumers, though, we have to have agency in what we decide to consume, and we'll be doing a great injustice to ourselves and our own morals and values if we don't become critical of the content that we're consuming. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about, is that where a lot of people are becoming okay with being sheep, and they tend to really frown upon people that are independent thinkers like yourself. So I do appreciate the work that you do. And I really hope that this doesn't discourage you. I think personally you've been doing great, and by holding your own. And sometimes, for me personally, it becomes a little bit challenging when you have critiques that are unresolved because people don't tend to stand on their own and really try to engage in a meaningful conversation about what they believe are quote unquote faults or disagreements or flaws in your particular thinking or processes, right? So for someone like yourself, depending on how you take the feedback, it could manifest in something bigger, but I hope that's not the case.
Oh, very interesting. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling in and giving your point of view. Thank you, NT.
No problem. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so that was very interesting. So there was someone in the comments, I believe by the name of Kelly, who was saying that if Derek cared about the children, he would have been in the condo. And I would like anybody to show proof of how often he was in the condo or not. Show proof of how often he came home. I think what a lot of people online do is they listen to a thing that a person says and they take it as irrefutable fact. Like somebody saying that commented on one of my videos, and they were like, I'm speaking about the fact that Danae has presented in this video. And I'm like, these are not facts. This is her take. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Keisha. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, welcome in, Keisha. Talk to us. What is your comment this evening?
Okay. I'm not going to use the term mammy either because I think that's derogatory, but you said one of the definitions was a Black woman who has like the cape on and babies men, right? Or Black men specifically?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the Danae situation, I feel like anyone who would say she doesn't have the right to take the child and, you know, she's using the child to force him to be in the relationship. I don't take that stand. I think she does have the right because he's a grown man. If he wants access to his children, then he has the right to go to court. And I think once he doesn't go to court, you know, she's a primary caregiver. He left her in the care of his. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. He left her in
No,
the
well, you know what?
care
Hold on,
of.
hold on. You can take it. You can take some time to breathe. I understand that you're nervous. I'm gonna respond to a comment real
And guess
quick.
what? I'm in the bathroom hiding from my
Oh,
children. But
oh Lord, hold on. Kendra is saying I never seen a video of him inside the home, only in his car.
true, right. We don't see any family pictures. It's just him, or if he showed pictures of Danae, it was just him and Danae. But you know, it's never with him and the family, right? So,
Right.
in
Anyway,
that
so go
instance,
ahead.
like I don't think we should be babying men. If they want their children, they can go to court. But if he's married and she's the stay-at-home mom, which she was, she has a level of expectation that wherever she goes, her children go. And if
Okay.
he followed her and it was for the kids, then he shouldn't have done that either. He should have went to the court and said, hey, me and her are getting separated. She has my children. She left the state. I would like to have her come back and have parental rights. And then it could have been dealt with like that. But for anybody to villainize her and be like, she doesn't have the rights, she's using those children, like he's the one that ejaculated in her and impregnated her. So she couldn't have been a mother to trap him if he didn't release and do that to her. So if he wanted to be another thing is, if he wanted to be in his children's life, he knows that marriage, he's supposed to be committed to his wife and that the children are supposed to be together and live under the roof, and he's supposed to not sleep with other women. So if he wanted to be a good father, he would have to display that by not sleeping around with other women, because it's the same thing as alcoholism or prostitution or porn, right? Like that's involving adult behavior, and he would not be a good parent if he is bringing his children around random women for the purpose of intimacy. And, you know, he just is displaying that he's not a good father, and he has no interest in
Okay.
the children.
Okay. So you know what? I'm so glad that you called in. You said your name was again?
Keisha.
Keisha. Okay, Keisha. Well, I'm glad that you called in. Thank you. Finally, somebody who is calling in with a critique and who has feelings about the things that I said. So let's dive into some of the things that you said. So
Okay.
one, um, she does not have the legal right. No, I have not found a state where a parent has the legal right to relocate with the children without the consent of the other parent, right? So that's one. In the state of Georgia that she was in at the time, between 2018, 2021, she didn't have legal right in the state of Georgia. Or I'll put it up on the screen. This is just one website that talks about parental relocation. And here, let me see if I can get this up all across the screen. If you Google parental relocation in Georgia, you'll come across a bunch of different websites that'll talk about what is required. And a parent needs to get consent with 30 days notice from the other parent in order to relocate with the children. And so I think one of the things that people misunderstand is they're confusing my comments to mean that I'm only talking and only saying this for the benefit of Danae. Danae and Derek Jackson's situation, as I stated several times in that video, is unique to them. My comments for the greater good of the community at large is to let people know that they do not have legal rights, right? And they need to be very careful um, and checking what the law is in their community. And mothers, fathers, they need to be very cognizant of what is legal and what is not legal. I haven't found a state that bestows more parental rights on one parent over the other without the court being involved. So that's that. So then some of the other things that you said, I think you confuse being a good father with being a good husband. And Danae, so look, yes, you are right. It is sperm that is the fertilizer. Sperm is the fertilizer for the egg. Life is created when that sperm goes into the egg, right? We have to remember that Danae said herself that she was in a rotation. She claims that she had had 3 abortions before she decided to give birth to this what she's claiming to be the 4th pregnancy, because she said
Mhm.
that God had dealt with her for the abortion she's claiming that she had, right? I want all of us to
Mhm.
keep in mind that Danae speaking is not the irrefutable word of God. It is a woman who is giving her account of the situation, her account of details, without another party there to confirm that this is exactly what happened. So everything that she says is alleged. We do not know we do not know whether she did have abortions. We do not know whether or not he was or was not in the house. According to what it is that she had said, we know that she has a history of participating in behaviors to attempt to manipulate Derek into feelings that he was not exhibiting, that he was feeling for her. We know that she claims that the one way that she knew that she could get him to perk up and commit is to threaten to take the children away. We know that. Him being a philanderer, she decided to go full term with a philanderer's baby. We don't know whether or not he told her that he was not a monogamous type of man. We don't know what type of conversations they had behind the scenes, but we know for all intents and purposes that he demonstrated with his damn actions, being street meat, that he was not a monogamous man. We don't know if he ever said that he could be monogamous. We don't know what their marital agreement was. We know that she agreed to be in a rotation of women when she got pregnant, right? So we know these things. Is a person who is not a good spouse still entitled to parental rights? And just because a person is
No.
not a good spouse does not mean that they do not get parental rights. The relationship that you have with another adult and the relationship that they have with their children are two different relationships. We're talking about a human being who got their X chromosomes or Y chromosomes from one parent and their X chromosome from the other parent. This is still flesh of their flesh. Whether or not they're a good parent to, or good, I'm sorry, let me say that again. Whether or not they're a good spouse to you, a good boyfriend to you, a good partner to you, has nothing to do with their parental rights. And if you think that it does, then you have to take the time to look within yourself, to humble yourself enough to look at the law and let the law contradict you. And it's unfortunate. Tell me why you feel that if a person is not a good boyfriend or a good husband, that they should not have access to their children. Let me know.
Okay, I'll explain that, and then I just wanted to go back to the number 1 and
Mm-hmm.
2. So the
Okay.
reason why a spouse would not be a good parent, because if they're not a good spouse, is because they know that that child is dependent on the spouse who they're doing wrong by. So in this case, we'll just use Danae for example. He knew, men know that if they cheat on their wives, that's going to break their heart. That's going to cause her not to be in her right mind. She's going to be depressed. She might not be able to care for the children right because she's sad and she's not thinking straight, right? So when he took the when he took the step to marry her, unless she stated they are okay with an open polygamy situation, then he knew that she expected him to be faithful, okay? And he knew that he knew that. We know that he knew that because he apologized for cheating on his wife. So we know that she did not accept or come into the marriage with the agreement that he would be able to sleep with other people. So as far as his children is concerned, he does not care about his children because, for example, if you put your children in the daycare and you curse out the daycare worker and then you leave your baby with the daycare worker, you might expect that that person is going to take their emotion and feelings from the argument that you had out on the child. And so you don't want to cause the person who's watching your child to be, angry or upset, depressed, or whatever. So, and I've been in this situation, I've been in a domestic violence situation, and there's no way that a man is going to tell me that he loves his children if he's willing to hurt the mother who was raising that children. And
Okay.
if he wanted to be a father, a good father, whatever that fairy tale is that we have in our mind, the guy who works, comes home, plays with his children, reads to them, tells them he loves them. If he knew that's what he wanted to be, he wouldn't have time to spend with other women. He would take that time that he's spending with
Okay.
other women with his children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
So
want to jump in here, and then I want you to go back to the other 1 and 2 that you wanted to get in on, but I would need to address this.
okay.
We do not know what conversations they had before they got married about what his expectation of fidelity was. We do not know whether or not Derek was of the belief that cheating was destroying her, especially when she got pregnant in a rotation. We don't know because apparently, according to her, she was holding all of these things inside that she didn't even let him know that she had saw these videos. So we don't know how neutral she was acting. You know what I mean? We don't know. So let's just not.
Do we know that when he okay, can we accept that if he apologized
So
to the public for cheating on
let's
his
get to
wife?
that. Let's get to that, because at that point they had been married for several years. Was your husband beating up on you before you married him?
No,
Okay.
it happened after.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. If your husband was beating up on you before you got married, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you decided to marry him, right?
Mhm.
Would there be knowledge that this is a man who beats up on you or beats up on women once you're
Yes,
married?
there would be knowledge.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, all right. Danae married a man who had women coming in for sex shifts, that she would pass them on the stairs, like, oh, it's my shift now. She would pass them on the stairs and go up, and that she behaved in a manner as if she was okay with this rotation because she stayed in this rotation, right? She married him
Mhm.
after having been in this rotation. So this is not a man who switched up on her after they got married, and then now she's like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? What are all these, what are you doing with all of these women? He
Mhm.
she decided to bring a life into this world,
He
knowing
did.
full
He did.
she
He did.
decide a man cannot stop a woman from getting an abortion. She
But why should
decided,
she have to result to
listen,
abortion?
listen, listen,
That is
listen,
a
listen,
okay.
listen,
I'll
listen to
let you
what
go.
it is that I'm saying. It
Okay.
is a fact that she decided to go full term. This is a fact. She decided to go full term. She decided to allow a man to continue to climax in her after she has already claimed that she had several abortions. She knew that she was super fertile and that he was climaxing in her so much that he impregnated her, according to her own account. Now, we don't know what's true or what's not true, but she is claiming that he was climaxing in her so much unprotected that she had had 3 prior abortions. So she knew that she was fertile and that their eggs and semen like to come together. She knew that. And even after, listen, how many abortions does it take for a woman to decide, I'm going to get on some type of birth control? She decided to continue to let this man ejaculate in her. We're not talking about an oops baby. We're talking about 2 adults who were engaging in high risk fertility or insemination behavior. Both of them. Both of them. And with her having the right to terminate, having the ability to get on birth control, she decided to take no precautions and continue to let him to ejaculate in her. And then she decided to marry a person like this, and then act stressed out when the man, after marriage, exhibited the same behaviors that he did before marriage. And not only that, she continued to have his children, one child after another. Even though she said she knew about the infidelity, she saw the video, she continued to have his children. This was not a surprise to her. So when we say that whether or not he's a good father and a good parent, she knew what type of man it is that she decided to go full term. I mean, how many women out here? How many women out here who have had pregnancy scares? And after you had your pregnancy scare, you said, you know what? I do not want to be tied to this person for the rest of my life. I do not want to be tied to a man like this for the rest of my life. So I know that I need to do what it is that I need to do to make sure that we are not tied together. How many pregnancy scares did that take? For the women out there who have had pregnancy scares, how many pregnancy scares did it take for you to stop participating in the behavior that created the scare? Please put up your numbers here. I'm just going to take a quick survey. So, tell me your name one more time, my dear.
Keisha.
Keisha. Okay, Keisha. I'm going to remember from now on. I want you all to put up the numbers. How many pregnancy scares? Have you had a pregnancy scare before in the past with a man that you did not want to be tied to, Keisha?
Yeah.
How many pregnancy scares did it take before you stopped messing with him?
It was just one with the person.
Thank you. Let's not absolve Danae. Listen, you said one.
No,
I'm looking at the numbers right here. People are putting up ones. People are putting up ones. One pregnancy scare. One.
Okay.
One pregnancy
All right.
scare. One.
So, okay. So how old was she when she got with him or married him? Got with him and then married him. Do you know? I think it was 19.
She met him when she was 19. They didn't get married until 2018. If she is 33, listen, if she's 33 now, is she 33 or 35 right now? Who knows whether she's 33 or 35? So she's somewhere between 33 and 35. So let's say she's 34, right? 34 in 2023, right? So let us go backwards from there. So 2018, let me pull the calculator out so we can make sure that we are all on the same page with this, right?
So 5 years. Okay.
All right. So she was 30. She was 30 or 29 when she decided to marry this man. She was grown. She was grown.
But she was with him since 19. So it wasn't like this is a new person she met at 30. She had been with him since 19. So I'm going to just explain how that happens. How does a woman have an abortion and still stay with the guy in this situation? So she said that she was into Christianity, and I used to be into that too. And what happens is when you read that doctrine, it tells you that marriage is everything, right? Marriage is everything. And it also teaches you that if he is not a believer, which, he don't believe in monogamy in the marriage or whatever, that you don't get rid of him, you work it out, and then hopefully he'll change.
She wasn't even religious at that time. She became religious after the infidelities and all of that. She became religious, I believe she says, after she went to go live with her mother, and she was still being fast and grown then. I believe she was already 2 children in before she said she decided to become religious. So remember, she had 3 abortions according to her. So we're not talking. So let's not.
Christianity is it's hypocrisy. I'm not going to deny that, but I'm saying there are facets of it that people stick to, and they pick that one and they go hard on it.
You're speaking make believe right now. You're speaking make believe, and because she's claiming that she was not religious at that time. She wasn't religious when she decided to.
That then.
Okay.
If Christianity is not that excuse, then that's fine. So at the end of the day, she still married him, right? So I know from what I can conclude is him apologizing for committing adultery in front of the world. To me, that lets me know he had an understanding that he was not supposed to, because there would be no need for him to apologize for cheating and getting caught if he thought and she thought that they had that agreement. If she thought that was the understanding, she wouldn't have reacted that way as far as all her Bible verses and videos and cursing people out and stuff. She would not have reacted that way if she was under the impression that that was acceptable in their marriage. So yes, she did know, that's a fact, but in her mind, probably, I'm assuming, it can happen this way, that she felt she could change him. And there are a lot of women who feel like, yeah, man, I'll tell you, that happened to me. A man is bad, but once he gets with me, I'll change him. And we know that a lot of women believe that. I had the guy who I married, he was into porn. He was, a secret service person, intelligence specialist, and he traveled out of country and he slept with women or whatever, and he was single. So in my mind, I was like, well, that's how he was. He was a bachelor. He could do whatever. He was into porn or whatever, and I didn't think about it because I was just like, I assumed that's what men did. We accept that boys will be boys, so we accept that prior to marriage, that's what they do. And then when you get with them, because they're asking you to marry you, you assume that that's who they want to be with, and they're going to stop doing that stuff. So I'm not denying that she was stupid for staying with him and being with him to begin with, but I'm just saying there is a way that happens, especially when you believe in marriage and you think that he's bad now, but when he gets met with me, I'm going to change him and he's going to be faithful. And even when she saw that he wasn't, yes, I agree, she should have left. But not all women are strong like that.
Listen, you misunderstand me. I'm not telling anybody that they should have left anything. I'm not telling people when to leave anyone. All I'm saying is that there are consequences for our actions. I did want to state that when I saw him apologizing publicly, it seemed to me more like he was apologizing to the public, not to his wife. He was talking to the cameras and apologizing as if he had let his fans down. We do not know what conversations existed between them. And so whether or not he was a good husband to her, whether or not she had an expectation of whatnot, whether or not people feel that they can change a man, whether or not people feel she should have left him or whatnot, right? That's neither here nor there. I'm talking about how no one has the right to single-handedly attempt to remove someone's parental rights because they weren't good to them, to their partner, because they didn't do what the partner wanted them to do so that they could be like, oh, well, you won't see your children. All I'm saying is go through the court and make it legal. That's all I'm saying. But listen, we've been on for 25 minutes. So say your last thing and then I'm going to let you go. Please make it quick. Give it in 30 seconds or less.
Okay. Well, I just feel that women have the rights by law until he files for custody. I was told this by police, whoever the children are with is who has is guardianship. And until he fights for custody, a mother can go anywhere she wants to until he files custody. That law you stated is based on custody. So he might change that and he has the right to go to court, but a mother has the right to go anywhere with her child until the father puts in a court request to have
you know what? Listen.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by guests and callers are those of the individual guest or caller and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Tonya TKO, the Tonya TKO Show and or its affiliates. For more information, visit tonyatko.com.
Listen, I'm going to say this because you're going to get a lot of people hurt out there. You're going to get people's children taken away from them if they decide to try to enact these things that you're saying, which are not true. I am telling people, right, and this is why I'm telling you all, it doesn't matter what type of relationship he had with you. It doesn't matter whether or not you don't like his face. It doesn't even matter whether or not he has broken some other law. You do not have legal rights to take a person's children away from them. You need to go through the courts because each state is going to be different. You need to know what is legal in your state. There are some states that you can't travel more than 100 miles. Because people were talking about, oh, Arizona, oh, this, oh, that. I looked it up for all the states that people stated. You can't travel more than 100 miles without consent of the other parent. We're talking about a married couple. We're not talking about a couple where, listen, they're married. That means that they both have equal access and equal rights to the children. Just being a parent means that just being, I believe in some places your name has to be on the birth certificate. In some places it doesn't even matter. We cannot leave the burden of proof on whether or not the other person petitions the court. No, the person making those decisions has to petition the court before they decide to act. It's as simple as that. And I don't want you to get people's children taken away from them, because you will get, if a mother thinks that she has unilateral decision-making right in any state that she's in, you can end up getting her children taken away by making statements like that she listens to. Go seek legal counsel. I'm telling you that the laws vary from state to state, and I have not yet seen any law in any state that says that a parent has legal right to move to another state. As a matter of fact, that parent can file an injunction to get that person to be remanded back to the state. So anyway, thank you so much for calling in. I'm going to grab this call that's coming in. Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
You from Brooklyn? This is Carnivore Yogi.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Is this Carnivore Baby?
Hi. Yes. Oh yeah.
So this is
Carnivore
Kay.
Baby.
Your phone is breaking up, so I can't really hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me better now?
You have to do something else.
Better now?
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
You know what? Just call back. Call back, because it's not coming through. Okay, so I saw that Miss Dara in the comments said that it seemed as if I was giving more grace to Derek Jackson than to Danae Jackson. And I would love for you to call in to say how you feel that I'm giving him more grace, but I will make this caveat. If Danae is the person whose video we are reacting to, then I can really only talk about the self-love lessons for Danae and for anybody who is supplanting themselves into the situation so that they can find their own self-love lessons. When Derek Jackson starts talking, because listen, Derek Jackson is there's something ain't right with the man. Something is off about him. When we are analyzing his video, then I will give my critiques on his actions, as I have done in many videos before. You're on the air live with Tonya TKO. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. This is Yvette from New Orleans.
Hey,
And
Yvette from New Orleans. I need to refresh the give me 1 second. I need to refresh the captions down at the bottom. So just give me one moment. Okay, Yvette from New Orleans, talk to us. What's your comment this evening?
Tonya, I think the issue is what you're saying is bringing up a lot of issues for people, because it's the level of entitlement they feel. And it's all about ego. And people need to realize you cannot take someone else's rights away because you feel as though you're entitled to more than what someone else is. You cannot do that, regardless if you're married, regardless if you just had a situationship. You can't do that. And instead of them taking this information and using it and recognizing that you are actually advising them for their own benefit so that they won't get caught up in the legal system and do things the appropriate way, it's backlash, because you're bruising their ego by telling them that. So now they got to come up with everything. Oh, you're a mammy. Oh, you giving Derek grace, when in all actuality you're not doing any of that. Because regardless if it was her who took the kids or he took the kids and left, it would have still been wrong.
Yeah.
Regardless if he cheated, just like you said, just because that relationship that he had with her fell apart, that does not negate the relationship he has with his children. It's the same as with serial killers. Serial killers, they got kids, and wives, and they have no clue. You can't then turn around and tell these people, I need you to hate him because of what he did to someone else, because that's not the person that they knew. And it's that group mentality, that herd mentality. People need to get out of that and think for themselves. For them to do all of that Mammy and all of that other stuff, that shows you that something in them was wounded when you said that. Because they move in that same, they operate that same way. So they need to stop.
Okay. I need to
Do
address
things the
somebody real
correct way.
quick. I need you to address something real quick. Kelly in the comments, I'm going to put you on hold. So I'll be right back in a moment. Kelly is saying that she did not take his rights away. Let me address that real quick because I see that you've been cutting and pasting that over and over in the comments, right? He has a right to see his children. He has a right to parent his children. The custodial home, the residence is in Georgia. She did not have a right to relocate with the children. She says she was in Denver for 8 months. She did not have the right to do that without his consent. Listen, it's not like it's not like she did not have a place to stay with the children and she was out on the streets. She was in a mansion. She said that she chose not to be there and she had her mother come in. She didn't have her mother stay in the mansion with her. She didn't go to a hotel with her mother and try to work things out. Like she said, she didn't want to be in the house. She had her mother fly in and then she drove. She did not have the right to cross state lines. She did not have the right to participate in activities that would lead to parental alienation. Okay, so he works and lives. Her legal residence was in Georgia as well. He works and lives in Georgia as well. So she didn't have the right to take the children and relocate to another state. People are saying that it wasn't a relocation. She stayed there for 8 months. She didn't have that right. She didn't even tell him she was leaving beforehand. She didn't have that right. Look at the law. According to Georgia state law, you have to let the other parent know with 30 days notice, and it has to be approved by the court. She didn't do that. She made a unilateral decision, and Derek could have had those children taken away from her, especially if you listen to how she went about talking about how she was following him around the house, acting crazy, going off on him. She up in his face, talking about demons and holy water and all this stuff, talking about she's seeing things and this, that, and the other. She herself said that she was hallucinating. She herself said that she was going around talking about demons in him and this, that, and the other. We don't know what that looked like. Just because she has a uterus doesn't mean that she is right. Please understand, and I want you all to please pay attention, because in your own life, you're going to these are lessons that you're going to need to know and understand for your own life. So anyway, let me get back to the caller. All right. I apologize about that. Please finish up your statement.
No, Tonya, you are 100% right. So if a lot of things in her story didn't make sense. So if this man had a condo somewhere and he was staying there all the time, why did you need to go to Colorado for 8 months? He's never there, you said. So
which means she had a house to herself. If he wasn't, you're right. So if he wasn't there for weeks, that means she had a whole big house to herself with everything that she needed in this house paid for. The only thing that she didn't have, according to her, was her man in the house with her. But she was safe. She never said he threatened her. She never said she felt unsafe. She never said they didn't have food. She didn't say there was leaky waters and the conditions were unlivable. She said that she had maids and people who were waiting on her hand and foot. But she wanted him to be in the house. And because he was not in the house, she decided to revert back to what it is that she said she would do before she got pregnant. That she would take the children away, something that she knew that he was against. Because I believe that she was looking for a way to try to hurt him. I believe, this is my belief. I don't know if she was trying to hurt him, but I believe that based on what it is that she said, I'm not talking about anybody else's speculations. I'm talking about what she has admitted to. She has admitted to being manipulative. She has admitted to wanting to contort this man's behavior or change this man's behavior with her actions. She has admitted to this. She's admitted that she would take the children away if he wasn't married to her. She admitted this.
But Tanya, the other part that's very vital in all of this,
Yes.
she didn't even, when she got pregnant that fourth time, she didn't say it to him. She said it to his mother, who then relayed the message to Derek.
Oh,
So
interesting.
100%, I believe, not only did she use the children as a pawn, but she also, when it was convenient for her, used the parents. She used her parents and she used his parents.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it was all a matter of guilt, because the way he would be perceived by his parents and how
Interesting.
because to be 100% honest, he did not care what she thought, because if he did, he wouldn't have been operating that way the whole time. So she not only used the kids, but she used the parents, both of their parents, as ways to guilt him to try to get him to do what she wanted him to do. So it is a manipulation. It's 100% manipulation, because you mean to tell me you're going to tell his mother about how you're going to take the kids and all of this stuff? Okay, if you're getting her that involved, you mean to tell me you're going to tell her that, but you're not going to tell her about the 3 abortions? You're not going to tell her about
Well, we don't know what it
the
is that she said to the man's mother. This is all
well, no, she
alleged,
said,
right?
what she
Yeah.
said, because and what I thought was telling is she didn't think it through,
Okay.
because she expects, because we're womb holders, we're going to be automatically on her side, because oh, this pregnant girl, she's had 3 abortions, and missed that point, because a lot of people didn't pick up on that.
On that
That
she
she didn't
contacted
go
his.
to him and
Yeah.
she didn't go to him and say, oh, if you don't marry me, I'm going to take the kids. She went to his
From what I
mother and
remember,
said
she
that.
did say that. I remember from what I
Yeah.
remember in reacting to the interview that she told him that beforehand. But when she did call the mother, she told the mother, "Listen, I don't have another 8 years in me to do this."
Yeah. And the
Mhm.
parents guilt him into doing and operating the way she uses people to manipulate things to her benefit when she
Interesting.
feels like it.
Interesting. Okay, well, you know what? You've been on for 10 minutes, so I appreciate you giving your point of view. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So somebody in the comments is saying that he emotionally tortured her and I'm defending a bandit. I saw what comment it went by real quick, right? Okay. Now, I wasn't in the house. I don't know what it is that she was going through. I only know what it is that she claims. And from what it is that I heard her say, she said that she saw these videos and pretended as if she didn't see them. So he went through behaviors to try to hide his affairs from her. He didn't bring women over to the house and was boning out in the open. That's some emotional torture right there. He went through trying to hide this from her. She said she was a snooper and that she was going through his phone looking at things that he apparently didn't want her to see. He wasn't playing it on the big screen TV like, here, bitch, learn how to squat down on the dick like this. She said she snooped to see and find these things. So emotional torture, listen, let's talk about that. You can call in and tell me. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, I'm Patrice calling from Detroit. How are you?
Hi, Latrice with an L?
Patrice.
Patrice with a P.
Huh.
Okay, so Patrice, Calling in
Yes.
from?
Yes, Detroit,
Okay,
Michigan.
perfect. All right, so we have Motor City in the house. Patrice, talk to us. What's your comment this evening?
Hi, yes. I just pretty much want to piggyback off what you're saying. I understand 100%. It is not right for us to try to put our own bitterness before the well-being of our children and their relationship with that parent.
Mm,
I have had to preach to too many people and women over the years to explain just because you're hurt, don't disregard him coming to get his children or you send him
yeah.
over there because he's over there with that woman. I've also had to be on the other end, the gray area, and explain to women, do you see the red flags where you might have to figure out a way to keep this father away from the children? And critical thinking is so crucial when it comes to these scenarios so we can distinguish when it's the time and when it's not the time.
Mm,
Bitterness does not equate to emotional abuse. You get that? Sometimes it can be. And we might feel as if because we're harmed, we might associate that, oh, they're harming the children as well, like the previous caller did. No, a lot of that does not equate that. Now, what do you want to say? A lot of your viewers are commenting, I think, trying to give you an understanding of the Christianity system. Not really being in agreement, but give you an understanding for why Danae might have had certain decision making that she did, for why she's stuck in a marriage. Because I believe that trauma of assault that she did mess up her chemical balance as well as indoctrination from a young kid.
mm-hmm.
She rededicated herself later on in life with the ideals of Christianity, and who else knows what else was already embedded into her. And if she has extra charismatic Christianity, something that can be a little bit more extreme than normal, baby, it's a lot of spiritual warfare talking that. And I know
Mm-hmm.
firsthand from family members in my family. And it does convinces you that all you need is Jesus, the Bible, and Sunday service. And yeah, the secular stuff in the world is happy, but the secular stuff got its own demons. And so, baby, when she goes in that interview and she starts to speak about how she's in therapy, and I mean how she doesn't really how she was once in therapy, but all she needs is Jesus. She's actually being hypocritical of her own self. She's trying to
Mm,
demonstrate herself as if she's overcame and delivered. But as we all read and listen to what she's saying, we can tell that if he did not divorce her, you would still be obsessed with this man. So you still need to figure out the techniques that is needed from therapy and don't just depend on your faith alone. It is
mm.
taught that faith alone. You got to understand, and that type of teaching, their teaching just has to. I'm sorry, but the reality is it's wishful thinking. So if you add the mentality of wishful thinking, it doesn't matter if she caught him with a bunch of women coming out of his room. Wishful thinking says, this is my man. God promised him to me. You get what I'm saying? That is the mentality that she might have came up in. And with the trauma that she's dealing with, she has to deal with, okay, depression and suicidalness. And then when she hears a certain sermon or something that motivates her out of it, you cannot convince her that, hey, what she's doing is wrong. That's her motivation. That's her encouragement in life. And as sad as it is, she needs to realize true deliverance is going to be you disassociating yourself with the feelings you had for that man. And that's the biggest thing that we have to try to do, period, as people, let alone as women.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for
You're
giving that
welcome.
aspect
You
of it.
love your show. I love your passion.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right. Okay, so listen, it's time to send in cash apples. There are 600 people on YouTube. If each person sent $1, that would more than support the broadcast. The link is in the description, and I just put it in the comments. It is $ Tonya TKO, like you see on the screen right here. There's a call coming in. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Wow, I'm Sharon. I'm calling from New York.
Yeah, hi Sharon. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello. Well, I'm the one that's been chatting away saying that, okay, Derek Jackson was is on video specifically talking about his split with Danae and how he wasn't seeing his kids. I don't know if the way I saw it, but it's it was from about 2 years ago. He says there were lawyers involved. So if the lawyers were involved, and he was talking about how after they separated, he he did a recommitment to her, and it was the church and all of that Danae was talking about, and then but he just then he was talking about the mistress that was, that it had caused all of this problems or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the lawyers were involved. So
Can you send this
Danae
video
relocated
to me, please? Can you send that video?
after the lawyers were
Hello?
involved.
Yeah, hi.
So,
Can you hear me, Sharon?
yes,
Sharon? Okay.
I can.
All
Yes.
right. Yeah, please send that video to me where he is stating that she had legal permission and rights to leave with the children, that she had given him 30 days notice, because according to what it is that she said in the video, she did not. She's not saying that. She said that he did not know where the children were, that when she left, that she was not able to call him and she wasn't answering his call and the mother wasn't answering his calls either. This is what she said. She didn't say that she had legal rights to take them. So please send that video to me.
I will. I can send you the link or whatever with him saying that he wasn't seeing his children after the lawyers were already involved. So what the timeline was and when the lawyers were involved, and by implication, or it's implied that she got permission from the court, I don't know. But he did say that he was.
Yeah, but so listen, so what you're doing is you're calling
Lawyers
in
were
about it.
already
Listen,
involved.
we're talking about a video
Excuse
that
me?
all of us, we're talking about a video that all of us have seen. You're talking about a video
Right.
that I'm telling you to send to us so that we can take a look at the video
I will.
where you're
I
claiming
will.
that he says that when she left,
I
that she
will.
had legal rights to do so. You're saying that he merely said lawyers were involved.
Again, it's interpretation.
Okay, so
But if this man is rich, he has lawyers involved, and he's saying that he doesn't have his children.
So listen,
So
I think you misunderstand me, Sharon, right? And I think a lot of people
okay.
may
Mhm.
misunderstand me.
That's possible.
According to Georgia law, right? Derek most likely, especially with the financial imbalance that existed in that relationship, he most likely could have afforded lawyers to be able to remand her back to the state. I'm not saying that he wanted to do that. I don't know. If he wanted to get Denia remanded back to the state, he most likely could have, because he has the money to be able to do that, and she probably didn't have the money to afford lawyers. And plus, he may have been philandering, right? And he may have been happy for the break. This is why I said during the broadcast that if she needed to get herself together, that she could have dropped those kids right off at the condo and gone and got herself a break. As a matter of fact, to me, in my opinion, that could have been one of the most prolific ways to be able to get Jackson to act right. Drop those kids off at the condo and you disappear. If he wanted you back, that would be that's a whole different story than taking the children and stopping him from being able to see his children and doing it that way. The way that it's, let me finish this. The way that it came across in her interview was that she took the children in a manner that she knew would hurt him, in a manner that she knew would get his attention, in a manner that she knew would get him to want to bring the children back, because he wanted to, according to them, according to her, be a father to the children in the same state. That's what she says he wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have legal right, according to what it is that she had even said in her interview. She didn't have legal right to take the children. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he wanted the children. I'm not saying he wanted to be with the children. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that she did not have legal right to take the children. My commentary is basically for the audience members, because I do not want women feeling as if they have unilateral right in any state to take the children at their whim. And they don't. Check with your state. That is my comment.
Okay, I will, I don't want to say the podcast that I saw this on that is posted. I did not see Derek Jackson. I was just whatever popped up in my from the algorithm, and I started watching it. I will send it to you so that you
Thank
can
you.
decide to do whatever
www
you want
dot
to do with it.
www.tonyatko.com/contact. Just click on contact, www.tonyatko.com. Click on contact and send me a message that way. Okay?
Okay, we'll do. But I I mean, maybe that's the misunderstanding is that at the point when she left, I'm going to say there is some suggestion that she wasn't completely within her rights, even though I'd have to really look specifically at what Georgia says, because
I showed what
everything
Georgia
I've
said.
seen, um, you just posted that today, and I'm on my phone, and it's too small for me to read. But I'll look at that, and I'll give that a
Yeah,
benefit of
take
the
a
doubt.
look.
But
You have to get
from
you need 30 days. I can read it for you right here. I'll put it up on the screen and I'll read it for everyone so that they can know what Georgia says, right? All right. What happens when Georgia parents want to relocate with children? When judges make their initial ruling on child custody, they're guided by one overarching principle: what is in the best interest? What is in the child's best interest? The same standard applies to proposed changes in custody resulting from a parent's desire to relocate. That's particularly true when it is the custodial parent who wants to move. If the move will be local, it is usually not a major issue, but complications and conflicts can arise when a custodial parent plans to move far enough away that it would affect the other parent's visitation rights, also known as parental timing. Georgia's 30-day notice requirement before a parent's move. Under Georgia law, any parent who's planning to relocate must notify the other parent at least 30 days before the planned move. Also, a moving parent who has primary physical custody of the child must also notify anyone else who might be entitled to visitation rights, such as a grandparent. It talks here, and you can Google it yourself. It talks about getting court, and we're talking about a married couple. So they both have
Mhm,
custodial rights because they both have their legal
mhm,
residence as the mansion. He had a condo that she claims
mhm,
was for work, but their legal residence was the mansion. That was the children's residence. What is in the best interest of the children? Is it in the best interest of the children to uproot them from the only house they've ever known, from the state that they've known, from the toys that they have there, and go across country to live in a state where Danae does not have a job? Is that in the children's best interest? So she didn't have the right to take the children. I just want people to just be aware.
Okay. And now, and specifically to that point, and that's why I've been kind of dancing around that a little bit. That specifically says, once it specifically talks to the point in time when it's already under the court supervision, and
Exactly.
that's the distinction. The first
Exactly.
line, uh,
Exactly. And
right?
so
And that
Sharon, please
that's
please understand. I hate to cut you off, but if you're going to make that point, please understand that when a couple is married, that there is no custodial parent. They both have legal rights to the children. They both have, especially when they're
exactly,
married, and no court has come in to establish custodial rights. They both have custodial rights.
exactly.
So
Exactly. And that's the distinction I was trying to kind of dance around. And I'm not a lawyer, but I did have a lot of legal experience.
mhm.
There is that distinction, and lawyers dispute things all the time. I'm not saying that my interpretation is correct. I am saying that particular line can be interpreted that because there is no uh, court order, that they and it's and I did see some what do you say, some interpretations
Mm-hmm.
that they both, if there is no court order, both parents can can take the children. It's only at the point at which the parent objects, the other parent objects, do they then have to work out custody. And that's an interpretation that I did see
Okay.
online. Now, I'm not saying that's correct. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that's how Georgia court would interpret it, but I am pretty sure that requires a court interpretation. And that's the only reason I was dancing around this.
I got
There
you.
is
All right.
a distinction between when they're married and don't have a court order and when they have a court order. There is definitely that distinction. And what that distinction is would, at least to me, require somebody who definitely knows family law. And that's not me. And
Okay.
I'm not
Well, you
saying
know
it's
what?
me.
I
But I do
appreciate
know.
that. And I hear what it is that you're saying. I hear what it is that you're saying.
Okay,
This is
that's
what
it.
this is what this is what
So,
I okay, thank you. Thank you. This is what I will say before you get off, right? Remember, they're
mhm.
married and their legal residence is the home, the only home that the children had known, right? Is a parent in the state of Georgia who is married to the other parent and living in the same home, are they able to relocate without the other parent's consent? That is the question right there. And I am saying that based on what it is that I am seeing about Georgia law, that she doesn't have the right, that no parent has the right to relocate, especially from the children's home, the only home that the children had known, into a whole other state where you are neither employed nor have your own residence.
And all I'm saying is after doing requesting legal interpretations for 20 years, that would require a legal interpretation.
Yeah,
That's
I feel
that's
you.
that I'm not saying that your
So
interpretation is incorrect, but the way that law reads is
I got you. So let me let
it
you
could be
go, okay? Because there are other calls coming in. So
okay.
thank you. All right. Bye bye.
Okay, so you have a good day, and I
All
don't
right.
think you're a mammy, but I did have that point of
I
contention. So
appreciate
you
you.
have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yes, Tanya. This is Yvette again from New Orleans. I just have
Oh,
to put this
okay.
to rest again. Okay. Even if you're married, even if you've never been married, if you have a child with someone, you cannot even get them a passport unless the other parent signs.
Okay.
You do not have the legal right, even if you're married to them, to get that child a passport unless that other parent signs
Okay. And you know what?
and agrees to it.
I know that there are ways around that in certain states. You'd have to put out an ad in the newspaper letting, in the state of New York, if you'd like to get a passport and the other parent is not around, you have to do some sort of paperwork to establish that that person's parental rights have been severed, and there has to be
Revoked.
a
Yes.
newspaper. There has to be a post put out in a certain amount of newspapers for a certain amount of time that is
Hmm.
announcing XYZ is going on. So,
That is correct. And also, you have to file papers for parental alienation.
okay.
So it's a
Okay.
whole process. It's a whole process. You cannot do that. And you specifically read it. It says anyone that has visitation rights, including the grandparents.
Mm.
So people really have to get out of that that ego thing. That whole entitled. You're not entitled.
Got you. Got you.
Each
Got you.
person who
Got
has
you.
a visitation, a expectation of visitation, it can actually file. This
Got you.
includes
Oh, that makes
grandparents.
sense. That makes sense. All right. Well, thank you for calling back in. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tanya.
All right. All right. So we're going to let's turn off the phone lines real quick and take give me one moment. Let's stop the phone lines real quick and take a look at the apples so that we can check the Cash App. Let's do that. All right. I appreciate you all sending the Cash Apps through to support the broadcast. Tiffany sends $1.25 and says she stayed for the lifestyle, which she did admit that she did, that she stayed because they had all that money and all this other stuff. Kendra sends $1 to support the broadcast. Thank you. Miss Berry sends $5 and says they both a fool. Keep doing you, sis. Lord of mercy. Jada sends 5 and says, you on point tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Renee sends $2 and says, healing and maturity is needed to understand you. Heart emoji. Thank you. Kane Medicine sends 222 and says, take responsibility for your actions. Robo Tabor says, iron sharpens iron. It's clear most can't handle you. Okay, I hear that. Miss Lady sends $2 and says, hey, Tonya, hands in the air. Okay. Keisha sends $10 supporting the show. Thank you. I appreciate that. Paula sends $5 and says, your patience with nonsense. LOL. What nonsense? I mean, listen. Paula sends 222 and says, the laws are for a reason. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As a matter of fact, Erica sends $1. I appreciate that. So it looks like we have, during this broadcast, we have brought in $49 in Cash Apps. There it is right there on the screen, right there as you see at the bottom. So I appreciate that. Thank you to the people who have sent in Cash Apps. You can support the broadcast with the link in the description. You can send it to Tonya TKO, which is $TONYA TKO, and it is a verified page. So you know that you're sending it to the right place. We will check the apples again in another moment. I'm going to give the opportunity for a few more calls to come in. And I'm glad that people did decide to, call in, even people who disagree with me. That's what this is all about. This is why I've opened up the phone lines for people to be able to call in and express their point of view. So the phone lines are back open, 323-488-3149. And let's talk. Let's talk. There's somebody who was saying that he did emotionally abuse her because he was cheating, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, I am pretty sure that she experienced some emotional abuse in this relationship. I'm pretty sure. She made a bad gamble on some street meat man with community peen and perhaps some sort of addiction to intercourse. You're in your life with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Gently, Las Vegas.
All right, we got Gently from Las Vegas calling in. So talk to us. What's your comment this evening?
All right, so my comment today is basically, everyone, you guys need to stop it. Like, she was not manipulated at all. Honestly, I don't even think the interview was a great look for her at all. When I watched this woman, I was like, oh my God, this woman would rather put herself in the fire, the pits of HE double hockey sticks to just keep this man, because I felt like she was just so immersed with him than about her own self-care. So it goes back to what you're talking about, Tonya, self-love. I saw a black woman on TV with no boundaries, standards, or expectation. And legally, you are absolutely correct. We don't have a right to take these kids and move these kids around the country. You guys, let's stop acting like that. But do mothers do it? Yes, we do it all the time. And I didn't like the comments where I keep hearing people talking about, oh, these women are selfish for taking these kids. No, that's not always the case. Some women actually do try, and it doesn't work. So therefore, I'm not going to keep trying to co-parent with a degenerate or a person who's not around. I tried my best. I did my best. And that's just that. And if I have to go somewhere else to make sure I'm able to survive and thrive with this child of mine, then that's what I'm going to do. So I just feel like we need to just be real here. She wasn't manipulated. Not everyone moves their kids throughout the country just because we want to get back at the baby daddy. Some of us actually don't care about them. Some of us really just move on like I did. So it's not like that all the time. And you're absolutely correct. Legally, we do not have a right to move these kids across states. And I also think you should know who you're dealing with, your child's father. If he has a little bit of resources and a little bit of money, then you may want to go check your state. But if you know he ain't gonna come looking for a bag of chips or these kids, keep it pushing. Like, don't even worry about it. It's just like deal with it when it comes. But she was definitely not manipulated. I saw no self-esteem, no self-care, and she was willing to deal with anything that this man put her through at her own detriment. And I also think that you guys were right earlier when you mentioned that if he would have never walked away from her, she would have never left him. She would have still been right there dealing with all the drama and everything, putting her kids in an emotional state that they don't need to be in. So, yeah, I just feel like they both wrong and they need to work that out because at the end of the day, these kids are suffering. So that's just my take, Tonya.
Okay, well, gently, thank you. I appreciate you giving your point of view. I have some questions for you. You said that she was not manipulated. What evidence do you have that she was not manipulated?
I don't think she was manipulated because the way she spoke about him, oh, I was the ugly duckling, it's almost like she just felt worthy of like being in the king's court, like, and then he like noticed her, like, it was almost like she was the Bolin girl while he was out there doing whatever he was doing, like, and she just didn't care. She participated.
Hold on.
She was even.
Hold on. Hold on. I had to say something real quick. From the moment he asked if she was a model, that was manipulation through and through. Because he listen, he knew. He knew she wasn't no, come on now. Anyway, go ahead. Finish saying what you were saying.
Yes. I mean, I just felt like she put him up. I don't know how high you can go above a pedestal, how high reach beyond the stars. She lifted this man up so high to the point her own air to breathe didn't matter. Her own life didn't matter. She was willing to walk through the pits of HE double hockey sticks with her children in a wagon behind her, pulling them through it. So for me, she was not manipulated. What I do think happened is extreme low self-esteem, extreme no self-care. Like, and I'm just thinking to myself, where is your girlfriend? Because like you gotta have some sisters around you, girl. You ain't got them extra ears saying, hey, this don't seem right. I just feel like there was no support around her, but she was not manipulative. I mean, he was not manipulating her because, like you said, Tonya, she would do little stuff. I don't think she was trying to get him to stay, but I think it was more so like, oh, look at me, I need attention. And then the fact I ain't never heard of nobody, a wife that has to compete with other women with her husband. No, thank you. She stayed because she wanted to stay. And I don't even think it was about the money. I think the money kind of came later when she was like, ooh, and that came later. But she was dealing with all this coming in and out. Because when I looked at it, I said, oh my God, girl, you was just another girl he was just messing around with in the rotation. He wasn't confessing love or any of that stuff for you. He was like one of the guys on the team, one of the guys that we hang out that's in your face, he in her face. It's just like, girl, no, he was not manipulating you. You saw a prize, and you said he was the prize. He was the prize. Oh my God, he was the prize. Like, it was everything, the end all be all for her. And she just felt like she couldn't do no better. She couldn't create a new canvas without this man. She couldn't paint a new picture without him. And I still wholeheartedly think if he had not left her, she would have never left him. She would have tortured her soul, twisted it out, bent it into a pretzel until there was nothing left but the very essence of what used to be Danae.
This is very interesting point of view. Because I personally feel that there were probably things that he did to manipulate her. That's how I personally feel. However, I think that there can be two things that are true at once. Because you know what? Let's think about this. Let's pontificate. Could he have behaved in manipulative behavior? Let us create a scenario, right? in which he did not manipulate her, right? Let's go to the far extreme and let's go to the other far
Okay.
extreme, right? So the far extreme, to explore your theory that she was not manipulated, this would mean that he came in and told her, listen, fuck what you heard, fuck how you feel. I'm going to keep my women's on the side. I know you having this baby and all of that, but I cannot guarantee that I am going to be faithful. You know, you said you want to get married, blah, blah, blah. We can get married, but I am going to have my women. I got these needs, and you and what you doing over here is not satisfying those needs, right? So I'm going to continue to do what it is that I'm doing. Then he would have had to have entered into this marriage. They both would have had to enter into the marriage eyes wide open about him continuing to be an infidel. Then when they had the children, et cetera, et cetera, um, I don't know. I cannot see a scenario in which he did not manipulate her. I can't even imagine it.
I don't think I would say like when I think about this, I'm not even thinking about him. He gonna do what he want to do, what he was doing. I'm not even considering him, Tonya, like at all.
Okay.
He's not even a thought in my mind. I'm looking at
Okay.
this woman here who's willing to deal with anything and everything because of a man just to keep him, because her self-esteem is so low to the point she doesn't think she can do any better. Even if it wasn't a Derek Jackson, say for instance some other guy that came along who wasn't a star, who wasn't this amazing, and I still think she would have still been the same way with another guy. I don't think it mattered which guy that it was. Her self-esteem was so low, it wouldn't have mattered because her self-esteem was so low. And that was like right after she met him, right after, she had her event. And that was very heartbreaking when I heard that. That was really sad. So she never really healed from that. You know what I'm saying? And then she meet this other guy. I don't even think it's about Derek Jackson. I'm looking at this particular woman here whose self-esteem is so extremely low to the earth's core that she allowed this man, I won't even say allowed, take that back. She allowed herself to be pulled through the fire by him, following him willingly for what? Just his attention? Just to say I'm your wife, he's my husband, he's my wife? She said she was competing with other women. She said that he was the prize. She didn't consider herself beautiful. She called herself like the ugly duckling. So for me, it ain't even about Derek Jackson. It's about Danae and how she was willing to go through all of this for penis genetic material. Like what? Like what, girl? What? So you was willing to like scorch your entire soul, your entire emotional spirit, your emotions, your spirit, your physical look of you, your hair, your body, the type of mother you are, the person. You were willing to like let all that be destroyed, all because you didn't have enough care to say, I need to walk away and just to deal with the pain. So it just seemed like she was just so weak. And I hate to say that about women, but she just came off so weak to the point where like you can pick yourself up. And the reason why I feel like I can relate to her, I've never been in that extreme, but I remember being with my kid's dad, knowing that I'm losing weight, my hair is coming out. Girl, what is wrong with you? You're not performing in school. You're not. At that point, it wasn't even about him. It's about you as a person. So why would you let yourself be drugged, taken by yourself? It's almost yourself leading yourself to be drugged, to follow up behind this man to do what? I don't even see an end goal, because I thought a prize was supposed to be something enjoyable and it's something that's good. Because that don't
I mean,
look like that's a prize for me.
you have to remember that. And you know what? I appreciate you giving this point of view because this is interesting. This is something that I had not even considered. However, I will say that remember, she was coming from a situation without a father where she was, where her father didn't really show up. So she was in this scenario where she was attempting to get this man to stay in a way that her father would not stay. But you know, something that just dawned on me, right?
Go ahead, Tonya. I want to hear.
When you were talking about her low self-esteem and then this rotation, and I thought to myself, right? What the fuck was Danae doing sexually? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. She must have been doing some things with him sexually that other women were not doing. Why have her in the rotation anyway? Because I cannot imagine that a woman who doesn't know her body, right? Is like she said she knew other women's bodies better than she knew her own, right? Why was she in the rotation? Her pussy is probably not that. She was not giving out no magic punani. Like like if you really think about it, like what the combination of low self-esteem and a man who may be some sort of intercourse addict, right? What type of intercourse was she performing with him that was something that he couldn't get from another woman, that he still had her in the rotation? Because remember, they were doing shifts, right? And so another woman would be leaving and she would be going up the stairs for her shift.
She said that. I remember that. And what?
Hello? Your mic has gone
I'm
out.
sorry, Tonya. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I can. What I would think about that again, it ain't even about Derek. He gonna do what he gonna do. It's not even about him. The reason why he didn't have her in a rotation. She kept herself in a rotation. Women, we don't be nowhere where we don't want to be. She kept herself in that rotation. And I think she kept herself in that rotation. It's just attention. The being around him, even if I'm just with him for the moment, even if it's just for 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
But you're not paying attention. Think about it. Take a few moments to think about it. We're talking about a man who may have had some sort of sex addiction, right? Who had other more experienced women who would have gladly taken her slot. But he still had her in the slot. She had a weekly standing appointment. Why? She must have been doing something sexually, even in her inexperience.
Yeah, he was still definitely getting something for her. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he.
But it couldn't have been no ordinary lay on your back type pussy. It couldn't have been. She was fulfilling some need that he couldn't get somewhere else. Whether it was humiliation, S&M, urination, something. She was doing something in that.
I just feel like she was just somebody else in his, like she was just another girl in a rotation. I don't even think that, I don't even give men that much props when it comes to them. I don't think that hard into them. She was just in a rotation because he liked to have other people in rotation. And she was the loyal one over the years, Tonya.
I just don't think that. I just don't think that. I think that they were doing some not no regular missionary type of intercourse.
Oh, I think they was having like threesomes and stuff, because the fact that she said that, like, look, I done seen a lot of my friends' body, but I don't know their bodies better than mine. You know what I'm saying? So I think she was actually out there participating and engaging in things of that nature with him and what he liked and stuff like that. Because she said she passed him on a stairwell, so that means you're familiar with them. You said you knew the schedule and things of that nature. So I don't see her not participating in it. Or maybe she could have just been in the room watching, you know? She could have been one filming it. She keeps talking about, oh, you know, she's seen video. How do I know you want the photographer? I don't know.
Get off my damn phone. Get off my phone. Thank you so much for calling in. All right, bye. You're live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Supreme from Atlanta.
Hey, Supreme from Atlanta. Talk to us. What is your comment this evening? Because I done heard everything now.
Oh, well, I just heard you talking about maybe like what had him, you know, keep her for so long and end up having her as his wife and children, mother of his children. And that Sukiyama song sounds about right in this situation. You know, who knows what she was eating, but
You're nasty.
So, oh wait. So, but also, when it comes to the situation at hand, though, seriously, like, we need to realize as women, we always fall for these men's manipulation. You know, she probably was enthralled with him. You know, he was the whatever football, basketball team player, and he's handsome, fit, and maybe she wasn't, what you call it, a swan at the time, and he knew he could manipulate her easily. Tell her oh, you look like you're a model, knowing damn well she ain't never modeled nowhere, not even in her own mirror. But we all went through it. We all had messed up relationships where we stayed too long. We did too much for them. We played the fool. And we as women need not put each other down in that way to seem like, just because you're older, or you got out of the relationship, now you looking down at her like, oh, she's so stupid. When, in the same situation, or if years went past or years rewind, you might be in the same situation as her if you was in her shoes, Same thing with this Krishan and Blueface. She's enthralled with this man. He's on TV. He's this and that for her. So, of course, she's going to stay longer than if he was a bum in the street, hood guy from the corner, So we just got to realize everybody has their own demons. Everybody has their own situations and learning lessons that they have to go through in life. And we shouldn't just put each other down for that.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen people putting her down. I've seen a lot of people defending her and actually acting as if she didn't have culpability in where it is that she ended up at the end of the relationship. So yeah, so I appreciate that. So if there are people who are calling her stupid and putting her down, we definitely need to shift from that. So thank you so much for adding that.
No problem. Thank you. And I love your show, and keep doing what you're doing, girl. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
All right. So we're going to take another Cash App break so that you send in your Apple. I'll read it on air. Let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll be back.
Are you tired of missing Tonya TKO's live videos? Arriving late when the video is well underway or about to end? Are you fatigued of only seeing a live video randomly while perusing YouTube and Facebook? Or worse, randomly unsubscribed? Well, now you can get a text notification whenever I go live. No longer are we dependent on the algorithm of these fickle platforms. For just $1.99 a month US and Canada, or $4.99 a month international, you get a personalized text message 15 minutes before each live show. Now, you can show up early with the Tech Squad, meet other people from all over the world, and get invited to secret broadcasts off-platform. Most importantly, support your favorite independent creator. Go to TonyaTKO.com and click on text. Join the TKO Tech Squad today for just $1.99 a month US and Canada, or $22 a year if you pay in advance. $4.99 a month international, $50 a year if you pay in advance. You'll never again be tardy to the party. I'll see you on the next broadcast. TonyaTKO.com/text.
All right. So for those of you who are here from the Text Notification Squad, go ahead and throw up your 1010s. The Text Notification Squad is a group of people that get a text notification whenever I go live. It is an amazing service that helps you never miss another broadcast. You also get first notification about any types of sales or Zooms I have behind the scenes. So you get first notification on those. And so yeah, if you want to join the Text Notification Squad, it's $1.99 a month plus fees if you're in the United States, or $22 for the year. And the link is in the description, but I'll put it here: www.tonyatko.com/TEXT. All right, there we go. So TonyaTKO.com/text. And I'm going to check the Cash Apps in a moment. This QR code on the screen is an easy way for you to send the Cash App through. All you got to do is just scan it with your phone and send that through. I heard people saying, why do we doubt that she was a model? You know, when I was a little girl, they had this thing called Barbizon. How many of you all remember Barbizon? I remember it was always the frumpy dumpy girls, the awkward girls whose parents would send them to Barbizon so that Barbizon people could take a bunch of pictures of them and stuff. And they would have their corny little fake model photos, you know, just looking, just awkward in the photos. And I can imagine, she said she had some photos where he saw that she had the pictures on the outside of her trapper keeper, right? So she had her trapper keeper and where some of her model photos on the outside. And he came up to her after class and was like, "Oh, you model?" And when he said that, it just reminded me of the girls in my school that I would see with their Barbizon photos. They had their Barbizon photos, you know, where they would go get their little hair blown out and they would put on their little Easter dress and they would be standing there, one hand in front of the other on their thigh. You know how they would, you know the photos. They would be there with one hand in front and they had the little purse on with their little Easter outfit on. They had the purse and they would, you know, stand in their different ways, you know. Well, maybe not that. Maybe this was at the movie theater, bit crouched down low in Harlem, you know, with the, you know, that look. But with the Barbizon, you know, they have the, you know, they just it just looked like it looked like no frills J.C. Penney poses. That's what it looked like to me, right? Uh-oh. Jamaica went to Barbizon. Well, I mean, you telling on yourself, girl. Did you have your little hair blown out with your little frilly socks up around your ankles and your little your white patent leather purse and your kitten heels on and you had your little purse over your shoulder with your little Barbizon? Well, that's what I remember. And so when she said that, that's all. Black Beauty said my picture's nothing like that. All right, listen. Let me look up some Barbizon photos for you all right now. Let me BARB Barbizon Barbizon. All right, let's see. Let's see what the images are. Okay. Oh, okay. So, these pictures is looking cute. This was different than when I was a little girl. Let me see. Okay, let me see Barbizon from the 90s. Let's see. From the 90s. Let's see Barbizon from the 90s. All right. So, let's see. Barbizon from the 90s. Let's see what type of photos. I'm not seeing the Barbizon photos from the 90s. Let me see. Let me see Barbizon 90s photos. Let's see if we see any of those. Because I'm not seeing. Hold on. Barbizon School of Modeling 1982 commercial. All right. So you see this woman's face right here? Oh, look. You see Barbizon? You see this? You see, right? Okay. Vintage Barbizon. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Well, listen, some people said they had some cute photos. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Maybe they have some cute photos for y'all. What's this? She got the Barbizon outfit on. Oh, my. Okay, well, this is what I'm imagining. She got the leg up on the chair. She got the leg up. All right. All I remember is that the Dowdy girls, right? That the Dowdy girls were the ones who got the, look, the Barbizon ad. Be a model or just look like one. Gain popularity, confidence, or poise. Maybe maybe I was just jealous of the Barbizon girls because my parents didn't sign me up for Barbizon. Maybe I was jealous, and maybe that's why I still have these feelings to this day. Oh my goodness. Maybe I was just jealous then. I don't know. But I remember Barbizon from back in the days. Look, this is how we used to look in the 80s. Look at her hair with the little, that's how we used to look, right? And so, oh goodness, there's gonna be a Barbizon documentary. I don't know nothing about that. All I know, hold on. There was a YouTube video, Barbizon School of Modeling. Let's see. Listen, listen. What's the name? They got flour in their hair. What's going on? Oh my goodness. Oh, so you were supposed to feel like a model. Oh, and they gave you a bag. Oh my! Oh, look, the dress. This the dress. This the dress they was wearing. Look. Oh my goodness! I gotta rewind. So oh, it's going too fast. Here. Oh, the dress. Look. Oh. Oh, you know it. You know it. Oh, you know it. That's the dress. Oh, so she's with her little bow. They got they Barbizon. Oh, kisses. They running in the sweatsuits. So now imagine if these are the advertised photos. Imagine what the low budget ones look like with just regular people. Imagine. Okay, so people remembering the Barbizon now. Okay, I know this video is gonna get copyrighted now because that song was in there. Barbizon, look like a model. So that's what I thought about. I'm gonna I'm gonna open up the comments, not the comments. I'm gonna open up the phone lines one more time. And we're going to take the last phone calls before we jump out of here. And then I'm going to read the apples, and then we're going to go from there, right? Do you think they still got Barbizon? Oh, Lord of mercy. Maybe they do. All right, so the phone lines are open. 323-488-3149. You can call in. And I know those 80s commercials were so corny back in the days. All right, so we're taking last comments. They were doing fashion shows too, Island Girl. I didn't know. I didn't know they were doing fashion shows as well, right? All right, so 323-488-3149. We're taking last minute comments. Let's see. You're on your live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Carnivore Yogi once again. I'm gonna try one more time. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. So you said Carnivore Yogi. Did you change your name?
So if there's one for Carnivore Baby for my son, I'm actually the Yogi.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
Well,
but I
talk to
probably
us.
was under his email.
All right.
Hi,
Okay.
yeah. So I want to see what I could add to. Let me turn off the background, okay? 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, want me to turn off the background. Yeah. So I hope I could add to this because I wasn't agreeing with what you were saying in the beginning, but then as the show progressed, I saw your point when it comes to legal rights for mothers and fathers, that they share equal. I was wondering, how do you feel about a mother who don't have the father's name on the birth certificate? Does she have the right then to move as she please? Hello?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think you have to look at the law for the state that you're in. In some states, you have the right to move. In some states, you don't. And you just have to check with the laws that exist in your state. So, me
oh, okay.
personally, the way I personally feel, and the way that the law is set up are very different things. I know that there are some dangerous fathers out there. I know that there's some dangerous
Yeah.
mothers out there. And I know that it is in the best interest of the children to sometimes be away from parents who may be a danger to themselves or each other. That's not what Denia was saying in her video, in the interview. She wasn't
Okay.
saying that she felt that Derek was a danger. She was saying that he was with other women, so she took the children away so he couldn't have access, so he would come home. Listen, any woman who has ever lived with a man, right? Because and you know what? I'm gonna be very honest because I'm a woman, right?
Yeah.
We know how much some of our partners may depend on certain things. And women are not able to fight men with their fists. So women find other ways to hurt men. And there are many different ways to hurt men, especially if you know that man's psychology. Danae knew that taking the children away would hurt him. She couldn't get what it is that she wanted, which was a faithful man, so she took the children away. She didn't drop the kids off and go about her business, check herself into an institute to get some help, or an institution to get herself some help. She didn't do that. She did what she knew would hurt him. I'm sorry?
I think she mentioned that she was seeing a therapist.
She
She's like
said that she was
3 therapists.
forced. She said she was forced into therapy. The only ways that people get forced into therapy is by being institutionalized. She said that she was seeing things and seeing what she was calling paranormal activity around the house. That she was chasing him around the house, talking about he got a demon inside of him and all of this other stuff, right? So she was probably chasing him with a Bible, going off into that rant that she would be going off, that she went off into online, right? And so we have to take into account that women are not always right. This is why we have to be able to look at ourselves to see when we are doing things that are not right. And if there is a father who doesn't want you in the relationship, but he's showing up for his children, let me tell you something. I can guarantee how many people, let's take a survey. If you think that if she didn't have 2 of his children, that he would have put her up by herself in a, excuse me, you have another baby?
I do.
Not another one
do
who
have a
was born
baby.
after the pandemic, because I know that you had a baby during the
No,
pandemic. I know
it's
there's
the
not
same
another
one.
one.
The same one. He's still
Oh.
one. He's still one.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah,
I
back
hear
then he
little
was a
baby. You
baby
sound like a
baby.
little baby in the background. And I'm like, I know you ain't out here still behaving like, okay. I ain't want to blow up your spot, but I remember the phone call that we had. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm in
All
a
right.
mess too, but I guess I'm a little
I
bit biased with the women.
there are a lot of women who are
I
biased. So let me just do the survey real quick. If you
go ahead.
think that Derek would have put her up in a 9,000 square foot mansion by her as a housewife, if she did not have his children, I want you to put up the number 1. If you know that he would not have put her up in a mansion by herself, right? Hold on. I want us to get the numbers right. We're going to have to do it again because I'm not sure what I said on the first one.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out.
If you think that him marrying her, that if she didn't have his children, that he would have put her up in a mansion for her to live in this mansion and be living the high life and having servants and all this other stuff. If you think he would have put her up in a mansion as a wife, right? Put up the number 2. If you know for a fucking fact that if she didn't have his children, that she would not have been in that mansion without being the mother of his children, without the children, put up a 0. Let's see the survey. Let's see the survey.
Before she had children, right? Wasn't she in that mansion before she had children?
No, fuck no. She was in a rotation. She got pregnant in a rotation. She was doing sex shifts with him and other women. She was passing them by on the stairs talking about, well, this is my shift now. Time to go make the groceries or eat them. I don't know what she was doing. But he had her in the rotation. She got pregnant in the rotation. And then she was like, listen, she called his mother and was like, look, I don't have another 7 years to, let's get these up on the screen. So you all don't think that he would have put her up in the mansion without children? 5-star thinks that he would have put her up in the mansion without children. I can bet that the reason she was in the mansion was because she had his kids. That she would not have been there in that mansion, that he did not so love her as a woman and his wife. That he did not so appreciate her, that he would have put her up in the mansion. Where's she living now? I bet you her black ass after this divorce is not inside that fucking mansion. I bet you she's
gonna
not.
still be blessed after the divorce. She'll be able to have her own mansion because
hopefully she
money.
will. But what I'm saying is that if she did not have those children, he most likely would not have put her up in the mansion. So she left. So she left.
Was in that
she was not. She goddamn. Listen. They got into the mansion after they were married and after she had already had his children. When they got married, she was already pregnant with child number 2.
I do have one to I just clarify. Do you believe that woman is the only one that decides whether the child go into fruition or I feel in my opinion I feel like okay I in my opinion I feel like when a woman gets pregnant the man decides because whether it was by mistake or not, he injected his sperm in her.
Right.
And whether he knew or not whether it's going to fertilize or not, he already made that decision by allowing it to flow into her. So it's, to me, both on the man and the woman that made the decision for that baby to come into life.
Yeah,
Do you agree?
So let's talk about that. Ultimately, the woman has the
Yeah.
final say so. Men need to exercise more control of their semen. They need to. Men need to exercise more control over their semen because that is the elixir for life. They need to exercise more control. However, ultimately, the decision about whether or not her body is going to host this child is hers. Ultimately, the decision about whether or not she's going to go full term is her decision because a man cannot force a woman to get an abortion once she has decided that she's going to have that child. She can decide to abort and she can decide to go full term without his input. Right?
It's not
so
so
yes.
easy for, you know.
So yes, you asked me a question, so I'm answering. I believe that it is ultimately the woman's decision about whether or not she goes full term. The man, when he ejaculates into that woman, he is consenting that if worse comes to worse, that he understands, like if he's ejaculating in a woman unprotected, especially in their case, where she claims that she had 3 abortions. If he is continuing to ejaculate into a body that has become pregnant by him 3 times before, he is consenting to allowing his fertilizer to enter her body. He's consenting to that. However, ultimately, it is her decision about whether or not her body is going to allow this parasitic relationship between fetus and mother. Because there's a parasitic relationship that exists between fetus and mother where the fetus leeches onto the woman's body, leeches the minerals and the calcium and the vitamins and the lifeblood from the mother. So the mother has the decision about whether or not she's going to be the host to this fetus parasite. I don't want to call the fetus a parasite.
Like how you phrase that.
Well, let me change that. Let me change that. Because can we admit that the fetus has a parasitic relationship with the mother? The fetus is leaching from the mother.
Parasitic. I see the mother nurturing a growing fetus, a growing miracle in her body. I don't see it like a leaching parasite on the mother.
Okay.
If you want to speak on scientific term, maybe, but when it
Okay.
comes to a mother experience, carrying a child full term, to me is much more of a spiritual experience. It's a
Okay.
miraculous experience, and it's absolutely a blissful.
Physically,
Well, for me, it
physically
is.
and scientifically speaking, the fetus has a relationship with the mother. The fetus does not take nutrients from its body and shoot it out from the umbilical
Mm,
cord into the mother. The fetus doesn't do that. The
of
umbilical
course.
cord is a one-way, I don't know if it's a one-way street, but I can imagine that the
Mhm.
vast majority of nutrients are going from the mother's body, being siphoned from her body. This is why mothers lose
Mhm.
teeth, because the calcium that
Mhm.
builds the baby's bones comes from the mother's bones. The baby's
It's
leaching
true. The mother has to be
calcium.
in a healthy state.
Exactly. The fetus leaches its nutrients from the mother. This is why, because the fetus cannot survive without leaching from the mother. It can't
Without
survive.
speaking from the mother. Yeah, it's the mother. The mother nourishes herself in order to nourish the baby. I prefer
Exactly.
into that way because it's a much more realistic point of view. But when you leave, it almost sounds like a bad thing. Like it's terrible that the baby
You
is
got
just
you know what?
leeching off of you.
I'm only speaking factually, so that we can understand that there is a
Mhm.
one-way nutrient relationship with the baby, with
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
fetus.
Mhm.
This is part of the reason that the mother can decide that she is not going to be a host to an entity that
Mhm.
cannot survive without leeching off of her. And if a
Mhm.
mother says, "You know
I
what? I decide not to be a host to this growing fetus," she
Mhm.
can terminate that pregnancy because the fetus is not able to live outside of her body. It is a one-way parasitic relationship. I'm sorry.
Oh.
But you know what? Let's just change the path. Let's say a one-way nurturing. I don't know. Nurturing just doesn't really capture it, because
I think it's
the fetus
nurturing
the
because
fetus
the
does
mother
not
can't.
nurture
So
back.
no, because so the mother can choose to eat healthy and nourish that baby without. It's like
Let
even
me
though the
let me
baby is
let me let me
taking
tell
from
let me
the
tell you
mother can make sure she
something.
replenish her body.
But let me explain something to you. If
Mhm.
you do not eat enough calcium, that fetus will take
Mhm.
it from your bones, from your teeth. Your teeth will fall out, your hair will fall out, and your
Oh
nails will
yeah,
cease to grow. That baby,
of course, yeah.
the fetus is leaching the nutrients from your very being. And if you do not replenish it, that fetus is going to find a way to live off of its host.
I know, but you just make sure you replenish. You just know how to eat. That it's.
It
I
is
mean,
still
you're nourishing
leaching.
yourself as well as the
All right.
baby. I'm
It's
listen. I'm
still, it's
47 years old, and I just had the baby. Right. I'm 47, and at my third pregnancy, and this is the most easiest pregnancy because I've learned how to nourish my body in order for me to nourish this baby. So I don't see the baby as leaking. The baby is taking, but I make sure that I am balanced, that I don't suffer through
you know,
through the baby taking from me. You
you know
understand?
what?
It's I
Yeah,
don't.
you know
It's just the
what?
way
And
you're phrasing it is kind
I
of.
know, but
I
get
don't
out
know.
of
It's
your
kind of like
feelings. Get out
disconnected to me.
get out of your feelings. Get out of your feelings. Because we can't even move past this because you're so deep in your feelings, because you won't admit that the
Okay,
baby
I'm gonna move it.
leaches or that the fetus leaches.
Okay. I'm gonna just keep. Okay, fetus is leaching off the mother, but at the same time, there's a spiritual connection. There's a
Of
what's happening
course.
when the mother's carrying a child. Yes. And I just don't want your listeners to think that is like it's a parasitic thing. I want them to think in a more positive way because when you say leeching, it sounds so negative to me.
So
You
what?
know,
So what?
Bec-
Let's say it was negative. Then so what? Then so
but
what?
why?
Let's
Why
say
would you make it a
let's
negative thing when it's such a
let's
beautiful
let's
thing?
listen. Let's say there is a human being who is saying it in a negative way. So what? You have a different opinion than that person, and the other person has a different opinion. So what? You feel a different way. Then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
No. I'm not. No, I just want you to share, or at least see from another perspective that is not so negative. It's
Who's
a
saying it
wonderful,
is your
especially as someone who
interpretation
has
that it's
gone through
negative.
it.
This is your issue with the word leech. You're seeing it as negative. Everybody is not
Hmm.
seeing the word as negative. Some people are seeing it as neutral. I'm speaking a fact. I want to be able to
Okay.
move on from there because it's like,
Okay, we move on. We're going to move on. I also wanted to mention that Danae, I do have some sympathy for her because I do feel like she's a young woman wanting love from Derek Jackson, and Derek Jackson was not giving it to her. So she's doing everything in her powers to try to please him, and that's also giving him children. So I understand your point that she was messing with community peanut, but at the same time, we also have to give some grace because she was also a very young woman learning from her. I don't know how, if it was her first or second or third experience. We have to give her some and leeway
her
for
prefrontal
that
cortex
mistake.
was already developed by the time she decided to go full term with the first with the when she decided to go full term, her prefrontal cortex was already fully developed. She was a grown woman at that time. And this grown
How old
woman,
was her first child?
she was over the age of 25 when she got pregnant. So her prefrontal cortex was already. Are you breastfeeding right now? Because the baby sound like he's waking up.
Yeah, yeah. He's falling asleep. I was trying to get him to fall asleep,
Okay.
but
Well,
I'm not gonna stay
listen.
on the phone too long
All right.
because
Yeah.
he's
So
falling
my whole
asleep.
my whole
Mhm.
point is this is my whole point, right?
Mhm.
He respected this woman enough
Mhm.
that she had his children and he married her, right? Even though she didn't
Mhm.
have the best pussy on earth, she wasn't the prettiest woman on earth, according to her own account,
Mhm.
right? Because she's a beautiful woman, right? She
Yes,
didn't
he
have
is.
the best
Mhm.
pussy on earth. She wasn't the most beautiful woman on earth, and she was not working in the parts of the relationship where she said she was living in this mansion. And he put her up in this mansion, right? And what
Mhm.
she wanted more than anything was probably for him to be faithful to her, right? And
Mhm.
come home and stay home and be with her and give her what it is that she claims that she wanted or thought that she wanted or whatnot, right? And when
Mhm.
she couldn't get that, she decided to hurt him in the ways that she knew that she could hurt him. And that was by taking the children out of state, out of this
Mhm.
9,000 square foot mansion with servants where she didn't have to work and didn't have to worry about any of those things, right? That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that home does not remind her or feel like home, so she wanted to go some that feels more like home. Because that place that she left, she probably felt like Derek Jackson just gave it a bad aura. So she's willing to leave kind of situation and for her peace of mind, so that way
You
she
know
could
what? And
be a
I'm
better
glad you're
mother
bringing
for her
this up.
kids.
What I want people to do, and I can hear it in your voice that there's a part of you that identifies with her story, and you are
Mhm.
superimposing yourself into this story because you have empathy for yourself and you want to extend that empathy onto her, right?
Mhm.
And that's cool, but let's not pretend as if we are her and as if we are in that situation. Let's take ownership
Mhm.
of where it is that we are and how we got into the situation that we're in. Now, you yourself, you need to take ownership of the situation that you're in and how you got into that situation. I understand that pity,
I
empathy,
agree.
sympathy, that these things feel good, but they keep you stuck. They keep you stuck. Poor Kay. Oh, girl, he shouldn't have done you
No.
like poor girl, poor thing,
Oh no, I'm so
right?
far from
It
that.
it keeps
I
you it keeps you stuck.
It does. It does. If I was a victim, I really don't. I embrace any and every experience, whether it's good or bad. Especially this, my son was a surprise pregnancy. I didn't realize
Yes.
I was pregnant till I was almost 5 months. So, baby.
Right, I understand, and it's a beautiful gift and miracle that I'm happy that you were able to have. I remember some of the circumstances that we talked about before because I remember you were talking to me about meat eating and all this other stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So I remember some of the circumstances, and so you decided to go full term with your miracle, and the
I had
things
no
that
choice
you are.
really, because he was already almost 5 months.
I got you.
It was too late. It was
It
going
wasn't
to do
too
abortion
late.
at
It
that
wasn't too
point.
late for late term,
At
and you
5 months?
they're terminating pregnancies up to 6 months now, I believe.
How could anyone have abortion at 6 months? That's crazy. I will never support that.
People who do not
I could
want to
understand 6 weeks or even maybe push it to 3 months.
listen, as
5 months? That baby's fine.
listen. As long as the
Mm-mm.
fetus is not able to survive on its own, as long as the fetus is not able to be viable outside of the womb, there are states that are performing late term terminations. If because this is what I'm saying, this is why I'm telling you, if the
I
fetus were
know, but
able to survive on its
if
own,
whoa,
I don't
but
want to
no, no,
listen, that is I don't want to
that's
argue
that would be
morality.
too, no, no, that would be absolutely horrible to abort a full, because the baby's fully formed. The legs,
Listen,
heart
you
beating,
know what? It's not the baby the fetus is not fully formed. It's not fully formed,
with legs
unfortunately.
and arms and head. I
Right.
mean, the baby has
If
everything.
it
Maybe
listen, from what it is that I remember, the eyes are not even able to open up until past 30 something weeks. That the fetus hasn't
yeah,
even
but
developed nipples
would you have an
the
abortion
fetus.
at 30
Oh my
weeks?
God. You know what?
That's not
It's
even what.
difficult. It's difficult
Oh,
talking to you
baby.
because you are so imbalanced. You're so imbalanced. It's
Oh no,
difficult
I'm
talking to
very
you.
balanced.
Listen,
But
you're
you have
not.
to
You're
use logic as
listen.
well as some sort of. You need
Listen.
to
It
be
is. It's
within your
not.
emotions and
It is
within
not. It
reason.
is.
Within
It is
reason.
not. It is not your decision what another woman decides to do with an entity that leeches
Oh,
from her body.
I
You
would
don't
not
have the listen. I
impose
don't give.
my.
I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care. You make the
No, I agree
decisions
with you.
for.
I know I agree with you
You
on that.
make the
But I think
decisions.
it's really
I'm
appalling
going to
to
hang
have
up
an
on you.
abortion.
I'm going to hang up on you.
No,
You know what I
I know.
think?
I'm just simply
I
just
think.
stating
I
my
think.
my point on that. Go ahead.
I think it's not your decision to make. It's not your decision to even judge. It's not your decision to judge. You
No,
can do what it is that you decide for your body, but
no,
not other
I could
people.
state I could state what I believe. I'm just telling you what
Okay.
I believe. To me, it's very horrible for a woman to have an abortion so late in the pregnancy. This is way too late.
I think it's horrible
I
for a woman. I think it's horrible
and
for a
to
woman to
live
even
with that
I think
idea.
it's horrible for a woman to have unprotected sex during a booty call and decide to create a human life. I think it's immoral to decide to
Oh
create
no,
an
I think
entire
it's a great
listen.
thing, especially if you have
That's
no kids. You
you.
can have that child.
This is what I'm saying. I think it is immoral to create an entire human being and go full term and and no, I think it's immoral to bring children into the world and you know for a fucking fact that that father is not going to be involved with the child. I think it's immoral.
Then we will live in an empty planet if that's the case.
I
If
think
that's
it's
the case, there'll be so many single women out
I think it's
there
immoral.
with an empty planet.
I think it's immoral to continue to have
I'm
unprotected
for it.
intercourse
For
in
it.
a
I am
rotation.
all for mothers. I'm
Listen, you
all for
see,
mothers bringing out their baby. Is
you're being so
that's come on?
disrespectful, Kay.
Do you not see the state of
Listen,
men
Kay,
today?
I did I allow you to speak and talk about how you feel that it's a beautiful thing and all this that and then when I get my chance to talk about what I feel is
Okay,
immoral,
sorry.
you're cutting me off and talking over me.
Sorry. My apologies. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is unbelievable. You know, there are far too many women who make illogical decisions with the, you know what? Let me just say this. Let me just say this. There are far too many women who make illogical decisions about procreating with another human being and then cry foul when they can't get that man to come see the children, when they can't get that man to commit, when they don't even know whether or not this man has psychosis in his family. They're going up meeting people at the bar or on these dating apps, busting open their pussies wide, no protection from a person that they don't know, and then try to wrangle this man into a relationship with a child that he may not even know the child exists, and then try to wrangle him into loving you, and then absconding the children, even if he wants to be a father to the children, absconding the children from him because he can't and won't love you in a way that you feel that you want to be loved. When you knew from the very onset, before you went full term, before you participated in activities, high risk activities with this man. Now, anytime that a child comes into this world, both parents are obligated to the children. He's obligated to the children. You are obligated to the children, but he's not obligated to you. He's not. He's not obligated to love you in the ways that you feel that you want to be loved. He's not. He's obligated to show up for the children, to care for the children, to take care of the children. And kissing your ass, massaging your feet, rubbing your shoulders, and jumping through hoops for you is not part of that fatherhood deal. And there's far too many women who are in denial because they think, oh, if I have his child, then this is going to force him to be X, Y, Z. And it is not. You need to take responsibility for the decisions that you're making when you decide to have a philanderous children. When you decide to have a sex addict's children who was never faithful to you from even in the dating stage. And I think that it is immoral to create an entire human being as a punishment to another person. I think that that's immoral. I think it's immoral to create a human being that is being used to manipulate. This is a human being. She claims she had 3 abortions, but she continued to have unprotected intercourse. And then in one of those pregnancies, she decided, well, you know what? I'm going to go full term. And guess what? You're going to have to marry me or I'm moving away with this child. And then, so he said, okay, well, then I'll marry you. Then he married her. And then now she's like, well, now you got to come home and stay home. And he didn't want to come home and stay home. So now she's like, okay, well, I'm taking the children then. From what it is that I heard, he never demonstrated that he had the ability to be faithful or the desire to be faithful. I think that it is immoral to ejaculate into a person who you know you do not want to be the mother of your children. I think that that's immoral. I think it's immoral to continue to have unprotected intercourse with a person and not keep your semen to yourself when you know that this person is fertile and you are creating you're creating fetuses with this person. I think that that's immoral. I think it's immoral to use human beings as a bargaining chip. This is a child. This is a person. This is a person who is here on this earth. You changed the course of history, giving birth to people. And I think that it is immoral I'm getting an error over here. Hold on. Let me reload this chat because I'm getting an error. And I think it's immoral to use a person's children to punish them, male or female, whether you're the father of the children or the mother of the children. I think it's immoral. I think that's immoral. I think it's immoral not to carefully consider the circumstances that you are in which you are creating this new human life. I think that there are far too many women and far too many Black women who are having children without really, really, really pontificating on where it is that they are, what that relationship with the father looks like, and how that father is going to show up for his children. I think that that's immoral. I think that we have a responsibility to the human lives that we are creating to create them, at least in circumstances that we are not 100% sure are going to be toxic. If you are 100% sure that you are bringing children into a toxic, abusive, all of this other stuff type of situation, if you are 100% sure, I think that it is immoral, especially after you've had 1, 2, 3 pregnancy scares. I think it's immoral to continue to make decisions that will create human beings and then use those human beings as bargaining chips. I think that that's immoral. I think that the human beings deserve much more respect for their lives. You don't think that I have been petitioned to give birth to someone's children? You don't think that I have had the opportunities to be out there and be a single mother? You don't think that I've had those opportunities? But I've had to consider, what would this child's life be like? What would the baby's life be like? I mean, we're talking about a family tree here. What do you tell this child about their family tree, where they came from? What do you tell them? You don't think this baby needs their father? But we're making all of these bad gambles. You don't think that this child needs the balance of a home that is a balanced home? You don't think that you don't think the baby needs their father? Maybe I'm biased because I was raised in a household with a father, so I understand. I understand the important role that fathers play in a child's life. I couldn't do it. I did not want to do it all on my own. I didn't. And I didn't want to tell a child their conception story being one that was sordid and one that I knew was fucked up, where I knew from the onset that he wasn't going to be here for that child. I don't get it. I don't get it how there's so many of us making so many bad gambles out there. Somebody said, pass the collection plate. Sure. The Cash App is right there on the screen. There's 500 people on YouTube. If each person sent $1, that would more than support the broadcast. The QR code is right here, and it is $Tonya TKO. And Jenny is saying, that's why you don't tell a story. You say you don't remember. So your child says, where did I come from, mommy? And you say, I don't remember. Where's my dad, mom? I don't remember where your father is. When everybody else is showing up at school with their father picking them up. When other people's fathers are in the stand cheering on the kids for track meets. And they say, where's my dad? And you say, I don't remember where your dad is. How long, how many years is that going to fly for? How many years is that going to fly for? Listen. So you're going to tell your children that they came from the heavens above. And then when you start raising children who are angry with you because you got this badass memory, that they don't know why they walk a certain way or have certain habits, you're going to say, I don't know, right? And somebody's saying, I don't understand why you're more upset about her response to Derek's ill-doing than Derek himself. Please, Check my resume. I have done many of videos about Derek when I am reacting to Derek. My channel is not about indicting anybody else. It's about self-love. When Derek's big, gigantic black ass gets his fucking self up into my purview for me to criticize his behavior, then we will criticize Derek. Right now, we are talking about the interview from a person's point of view and using this as an example for you to find the love in your life. When it is time to discuss him, we will discuss him, and we will discuss him from the purview of you loving yourself again. Because at the end of the day, it is all about your self-love. Period. Period. That's it. What are the things that you can do differently? Derek is apparently the aggressor in that situation. He's the initiator of this fuckery. How? Listen, he is the, for lack of better words, the predator. How do we teach the prey to love itself enough not to be prey? That's what this is about. Because predators are going to have their predation. But how do you stop yourself? There's no lesson for you if we continue to talk about what some motherfucking else body is doing. What he's doing does not bring the lesson for you besides you paying attention for what to avoid. How do you stop yourself from becoming a 3-time baby mama, divorced and on your own now? Pay attention. How? How do you stop yourself? There are warning signs, and there were warning signs for Danae. There's warning signs in your life. There were warning signs and red flags that I looked over. But we as the women who are the elders right now need to reach back and talk to the young women about things that they can avoid. Because predators are going to have their predation. But what do you do? How do you stop yourself from becoming a baby mama 3 times over? How? Those are the things that we need to look at. That's where the self-love lesson is. Because if I were to talk from Derek Jackson's point of view, what is the self-love lesson for Derek Jackson? Derek Jackson needs to go and get himself some mental health help. He needs to figure out how to stop being a predator. He needs to figure out how to, no matter how, listen, he needs to figure out how to have protected intercourse. He needs to get his sexual addiction looked at, if that's what it is that he is suffering from. He needs to figure out how to stop lying. But at the end of the day, you who are out there walking around like prey, him learning how to stop lying is not going to be a self-love lesson for you on how to not be lied to. I'm absolutely sure that either Derek is suffering from some sort of low self-esteem or he has some sort of personality disorder. And people are going to have personality disorders out there. What is it that you need to do to love yourself enough to be able to not get entangled in people's personality disorders? You want to know one of the cures for dealing with a person who has narcissistic personality disorder? Self-love. Because when you love yourself, you don't fall for the fuckery. You don't get entangled in their snares. You don't. Let me read these apples, and then we're going to get out of here. Whoo! You all that made me go off today. Carter sends $2. Thank you. Blooming sends $2. Nikitha sends $1. Sunday sends $1. Jennifer sends $5 and says, you hurt your kids by denying them access to dad and mom. Absolutely. And you hurt yourself because when all is said and done, the children are going to blame you. They're going to blame you for why the other parent isn't there. They're going to blame you for why dad is not there. So you need to do what it is that you need to do to make sure that you are helping your other partner get as much access as they can. Because if they're a bad person, if they're not all of that in the head and all of that, the children are going to find out once they're above the age of 9 or 10, children are going to be able to realize that something is off about a particular parent. But no matter how bad that parent is, if you stop your children from being able to see for themselves, they're going to blame you. They're not going to understand. JJ sent $5 and said, teach sis. I appreciate that. Melody sends $3 and says, teaching critical thinking to adults. Renee says, Danae is charging $4,000 to be a coach through infidelity. What? She's charging $4,000 to be a coach through infidelity. See? So she's capitalizing off of this fuckery. Andrea sends $2. Naima sends $5 and says self-accountability. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. Let me ask you all the bigger question here. When it comes to self-love, for us in the audience, considering the vast majority of my audience are women, Black women, right? Do you think that the greater self-love lessons are in analyzing and figuring out what we can do differently from Danae's point of view? Or do you think the greater self-love lessons, listen, let's do 4 and 5. If you think that the greater self-love lessons come in figuring out how we can do things differently in our own lives from a woman's point of view, from analyzing how Danae got into that situation, put up the number 4. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. If you feel that the greater self-love lessons for us, a female audience, comes from figuring out how Derek Jackson can do things differently, put up the number 5. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, because at the end of the day, let's just do 4 and 5. Let's talk about it. Stefan says, I take accountability that if I don't get therapy, I won't heal. Laura puts up a 4. This isn't about Danae. This is about you. Because at the end of the day, Danae got her own life to live. All right. They're saying Danae is scamming because she's charging $4,000 to talk to people through infidelity. That's how she's choosing to do it. And the people who are giving her the money. All right. So I'm seeing 4s. I'm not seeing any 5. Exactly. So people are asking, why am I concentrating on Danae? That's why I'm concentrating on Danae. I'm concentrating on Danae because there are greater self-love lessons for us and teachable lessons there. All right, so it looks like you all finished your voting. All right. So Kiki has sent $1 and said, what you're saying needs to be said. Thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Allura is saying, do you take Zelle, Tonya? I don't have Cash App. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, you know what? You can do credit card on my website, www.tonyatko.com/support. www.tonyatko.com/SUPPORT. Support. You can contribute with debit card, credit card through that link right there. All right. So listen, on that note, I'm going to get out of here. What is the self-love lesson that you learned from tonight's video? We're going to play a quick commercial, and then when we come back, I'm going to take all of your self-love lessons, so start thinking about them now.
Are you tired of missing Tonya TKO's live videos? Arriving late when the video is well underway or about to end? Are you fatigued of only seeing a live video randomly while perusing YouTube and Facebook? Or worse, randomly unsubscribed? Well, now you can get a text notification whenever I go live. No longer are we dependent on the algorithm of these fickle platforms. For just $1.99 a month US and Canada or $4.99 a month international, you get a personalized text message 15 minutes before each live show. Now, you can show up early with the Tech Squad, meet other people from all over the world, and get invited to secret broadcasts off-platform. Most importantly, support your favorite independent creator. Go to TonyaTKO.com and click on text. Join the TKO Tech Squad today. For just $1.99 a month US and Canada, or $22 a year if you pay in advance, $4.99 a month international, $50 a year if you pay in advance, you'll never again be tardy to the party. I'll see you on the next broadcast. TonyaTKO.com/text. Are you tired of missing?
Listen, I had to run to the ladies' room. I was drinking a lot of water. So I am back. The Text Notification Squad is a group of people who $1.99 a month plus fees. You get a text notification whenever I go live. Or what is it? $4.99 a month if you're international. $22 a month plus fees if you're paying by the year. And you'll never miss another broadcast. You won't get unsubscribed. You'll be able to get first notice. One of the benefits of being on a Text Notification Squad is that you get the title and the direct link. So you don't have to come searching on YouTube or Facebook or any of that. You always get it and you're always announced. If anything happens to me on any of these platforms, you're always able to get in contact with me. So there. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look. Let's see these self-love lessons. Jazz sends in $10 and says, warrior of self-love. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Jazzy. All right, so let's type out SLL. Let's see these self-love lessons. Let's see them. So let's get the music up. SLL, stop lying to yourself. Absolutely. And you know what? When I was using the bathroom, I realized, right, that when we had our caller Kay on, or when we Carnivore Yogi on the line, that she was saying, oh, I didn't have a choice. And I said, we always have a choice. And I think that sometimes it's a lot easier for us to be like, oh, I don't have a choice. This is why capital R word fantasies are so popular, because the woman gets to be like, oh, I don't have a choice but to go along with this and be ravaged. But we always have a choice. It's the easy way out to think that we don't have a choice. Adoption is a choice, you know, but I think it's reprehensible to not consider that this child needs another parent, that this child is not a human being who's going to stay small like a teacup forever. This person is going to grow big. Who is going to be there to teach this person, to teach this human being that you're creating the other side of it? It's not like, you know, you went through these motions and the person was killed or died or whatnot. No, you go into it not thinking about the importance of the other person's parental involvement. It's just, I think that's reprehensible. Self-love lesson, I will keep choosing not to have children before marriage. Let's see, SLL, let's see these self-love lessons. Love yourself, be you, never let anyone break your spirit or your mental state. I want to hear the self-love lessons from your point of view. What is it that you learned from this video? I want to hear I words. I don't want to hear you or others or we. I want to hear I. What is the self-love lesson that you learned from your point of view? Start it with an I. So Natural would say, stop lying to myself. Don't ignore the red flags to be in a relationship. I learned to assess where I am within myself before I make a life-altering decision. Don't change myself in order to keep a man. Know myself and my true self be true. Okay. I want to hear I and my statements. That's what I want to see. Don't ever change myself in order to keep a man. Change is hard, but being stuck is miserable. Exactly. Let me see some of these SLLs. Come on, type these SLLs so I can see. I learned to just say no, absolutely. What is the self-love lesson you learned from this video that we did tonight? because we were on here for almost 4 hours. We were on here for almost 4 hours, and I want to know what you learned. I won't operate from a scarcity mindset. If I give love to myself, I will receive it back tenfold. SOL, I will not be a part of the group. SOL, accept the reality when I deserve better. I am not going to get caught in a loop of this is happening to me and I'm helpless because I am not. Thank you. I won't be desperate for love from others. I don't give more loyalty or invest in others more than I do in myself. Absolutely. I learned sometimes women can be enablers from avoiding accountability. Yes. I am enough. I learned that marrying a man will not change his behavior. I will accept what a man shows and tells me and move accordingly. Thank you. Thank you. SLL, let me see. Type SLL so I'll know that you're giving the self-love lesson. I would never put myself in a situation to where my complete self-actualization relies on another person to have my emotional ability in chaos. I learned you can't change someone's behavior to change your behavior and direction according to what I want. I shall open my eyes. I learned how my self-love saved me from single motherhood. I will guard my womb until I'm in a healthy relationship. And I think that less people need to be born, especially, let me tell you, especially like some of these children do not appreciate being born. They don't appreciate the situation that you birthed them into, and they make you pay for it every step of the way. SLL, I won't look for a sneaky link this summer and instead take myself on self dates to avoid a boondoggle. I hear that. I hear that. Okay. I learned what FAFO truly means. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I know that's right. So, listen. I appreciate you all for coming out. Let me tell you the self-love lesson that I learned in tonight's video, right? The self-love lesson that I learned is about being more cognizant of times that I project onto other people so that I stop myself from getting my own self-love lessons because I'm so busy trying to coddle them, because I'm so busy trying to make excuses for them. I learned that I have to be awake and aware. I learned that I have to be awake and aware enough to be able to not project. And I'm going to tell you all something else. This is another self-love lesson that I learned from today's video. So we were on here for 4 hours, right? And in tonight's video, I brought in $88 in Cash Apps. And I realized as a self-love lesson that I cannot do this. I cannot be creating 4-hour videos and be on here for all of this time, especially when I need to create another way, because this right here, I learned that in terms of my own self-love, that I cannot do broadcasts like this where I'm on for all of these hours, taking all of this time, and I can't do it. I can't do it. This is my self-love lesson that I realized that I need to create a different way from today forward. That I will, even though I don't want to, that I will stop the broadcast for Cash App breaks and stuff like that, because this is what I have learned, my own self-love lesson from tonight's video, right? That's what I have learned. So there we have that. There we have that, right? Nonetheless, I'm going to jump off of here. I need to be able to give what it is that I feel comfortable giving. And I do not feel comfortable spending 4 hours online talking, not eating, not resting, not relaxing, completely engaged with people while I'm being used for entertainment, right? While I'm being used for people to pass time while they're at work, while I'm being used for people to have something to watch, only for them to turn around and be like, how dare you ask for cash apps, right? And Alora is saying, we love your long stream, sis. You see, what is love, right? Loving something and abusing it at the same time, or using it and not being in a symbiotic energy exchange, is that love? Right? Is that love? So, because I have sat up on other people's broadcasts, and I understand that, I understand that it's a lot easier to contribute via super chat. I understand that. I understand that. I understand. However, we know, because I've talked about this, that YouTube takes 45% of the super chats. And so, is it love to contribute? Like, you want to contribute to a person, but is it love that you say, oh, well, if I don't give YouTube 45% of what it is that I'm giving you, that I just won't contribute at all, right? This is the self-love lesson that I learned from tonight's video. So we're talking about Danae and how she allowed herself to be used while I'm sitting up here doing broadcasts longer than I physically feel able to do. And then, right. I need to set clearer boundaries. If I need to set an alarm so that when a certain amount of time goes past, that we're off of here, right? And Miss Berry is saying, I support when I can. And I'm not telling any particular person to support. I'm not telling any particular person to support. I'm saying there were 700 people on this broadcast. And and like I said, like somebody is saying, some couldn't give $1. What? This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. People will sit and watch and enter and be entertained. However, I need to set the boundaries myself. And if I am not, because these long broadcasts the algorithm doesn't like these long broadcasts. This broadcast will not get views past tonight's show because people are not going to sit around for 4 hours. So I need to set up my own boundary, right? I need to set up my own boundary. And so that's what I need to do. And so you all will see some new things implemented, because I'm not going to sit down and call myself a victim. There are things that I'm going to do to shift, to create breaks for people to be able to support deliberately. And if broadcasting live is not working, then there will be a paywall. It's as simple as that. There will be a paywall, so that the people who want to see the content, that there is a paywall between, so that I'm not sitting here like a victim, like, oh my God, how people are using me, and then, just taking what they want, getting the entertainment they want, and then clicking off, because we know how we do. We see a video, we get what we want, and then we click off. We get the entertainment we want, and we click off. I need to take responsibility for what's happening to me. So yes, I will set my boundaries and I will go from there, right? I do shorts, but I haven't done a short in more than a month, almost 2 months, because I was on vacation. So there we have that. All right, so listen, on that note, I will see you all in the next broadcast. Oh, wow. There's some people that have contributed since I went on my little rant. So let me go and grab these real quick. So let's grab these apples that have come in, right? All right. So Jazz sent in the $10 and said, for warrior of self-love. Aisha sent in $10 and said, well, it's just support. Alexis sent in $2 and said love. Kimberly sent $20 and said, for your time, thank you. And you know what the thing is? I don't want to guilt people into giving. It is my responsibility to not give more than I'm able to give, because now we're going into 12 midnight. And I know that I like to be in bed by 10 o'clock. I didn't set a clear enough boundary because I didn't even know when 10 o'clock came and went. But I can guarantee you that I'm going to set my boundaries going forward. Today will be the last day. I'm going to go buy an alarm that creates a chime even while I'm on air. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to do that. Putting my body through the ringer, doing things that are not healthy, because it is not healthy to be up past midnight. It's not healthy. We need to operate with the meridians of the sun. I like to go to bed early. I like taking care of my body. I'm self-abusing at this point by being up at 12 midnight. So I need to take care of myself. I need to take responsibility for myself. And so I know that I'm going to do what it is that I need to do. And I don't want anybody to complain when I put up a screen that says Cash App break. I don't want anyone to complain, because when I don't do that, then people are not reminded. And I think that people generally do want to contribute and support. You know what I mean? Not because I'm broke or need the money or anything like that, because I'm not broke. I like to be in an energetic exchange. I don't like broadcasting while people are just onlookers watching and frothing at the mouth. I don't like doing that. I like being in an energetic exchange. That's what I like. I like knowing that people are benefiting from the broadcast. I like knowing that people support the content that they feel supports them, that there is a part of a person on the inside that says, you know what, I have gained from this broadcast, from this podcast, from this channel, and I want to contribute, even if it's $1. We're talking about less than a pack of gum. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is how we continue to create, and receive the blessings, paying it forward, receiving in, by creating a circular relationship. Like, we can't sit up here and talk about how women get into these relationships and get used, and then then we go to work and allow ourselves to be used, or stay extra long on a broadcast past our bedtime and be used. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm sitting up here arguing with people who not listening to me, cutting me off. Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? I need to set clearer boundaries. And you know what? I need to get back on point. Kimberly sends 20 and says, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. Stefan says, thank you for checking up on me. Death is sobering. No, I believe you on that. And I appreciate you reaching out and letting me know that you appreciate that. Thank you. Susan sends $5 for support. Onyx sends $5. I appreciate that. Stefan says, therapy is my new friend now. I know that's right. And I support that wholeheartedly. Thank you. Listen, I appreciate you all contributing, and I receive it with open arms. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, look, this is my first Super Apple since I've been back. So here, let's go ahead and let's get this party started. The thing cut me off. I don't know why. I gotta check my programming. I'm gonna check my programming, but thank you. Solo sent a Super Apple through, which says, tonight was fire. I quote unquote see you, love. I appreciate that. Thank you. Solo, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know why this thing messed up my dance, but thank you. I appreciate that. So listen, thumbs up the broadcast. Somebody is reminding that people need to like. I'm getting out of here too, Shanti, but definitely. Kendra's crying. Why are you crying, Kendra? Please don't cry. Or you know what? Go ahead and cry. Let it out. Because if you're crying, most likely the tears needed to be released. So let them out. Jamaica is saying, I'm trying to drop more, but payday is tomorrow and I'm just coming back. It's really not the amount. Like I said, if every person sent $1, it would more than support the broadcast. So it's not even the amount. It's really just, it's just the energetic exchange. That's it. That's it right there. Oops. Let me get, oops. There we go. All right. So listen, I appreciate that. Let me check the apples one last time before I get out of here. Royal sends $15 and says, this show definitely sharpened me. Thanks. See, that's what I appreciate. I appreciate knowing, because like I was talking to a friend earlier, and I was like, I don't know if people are being helped by the videos that I'm doing. So I appreciate knowing that I am helping people, that people are being helped. Tracy sends $2.50 and says, for being a blessing to me. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And Indy sends let's see, $1.11 of Bitcoin and says, for truths told. All right, perfect. I'll accept the Bitcoin in a little bit. I don't know if it's going to show the whole address and all that other stuff when I try to accept it like that on air. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. If anybody sends it after I'm off air, then I'll check it and I'll send you the emoji back once while I'm off air. So on that note, listen, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through for this broadcast. And I don't want anyone to feel bad because, advocating for myself is my responsibility. And I just need to be diligent about making sure that I let people know how they can support by creating ways that are convenient for people to support. And it's unfortunate that, that these websites create ways that are difficult for people to be able to really truly contribute to the content creators. Like like YouTube, Facebook, these are billion-dollar companies, and they're still taking from creators, especially small Black female pages like mine. It's like it but I need to take ownership of what I need to do for me. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm refreshing. So it looks like everybody has contributed for the time being. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And it looks like we brought in $250 for this broadcast. So I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so on that note, I'm going to jump off of here. I appreciate all of you for coming out and participating in the broadcast. And I will see you all in the next broadcast. There was a lesson that I wanted to do, right? Yeah, they do make it. They really do. These sites don't care about us. They really don't. They don't care about us. But that's the nature of the game. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to say. But on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Thumbs up the video, share the video, watch the video. If you're getting here late, just let it play in the background. It's a long video, and so the sites are not going to promote it because it's so long. So on that note, I'll see you all in the next video. All right, peace. Go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. Tonya TKO, and I'm out.